StreamYard. That's all I got. I have no idea. So this actually looks like it'll work really well. It looks like
you have to keep an eye on people waiting in the room.
Yes.
So
I care.
How many does this hold up to, Lance? I'm sure it's not
6.
like 10.
6 total, yeah. 5 guests, including me, doing the whatever. Hold on a second. Tell him that his T-shirt is down. I think Travis Reynolds from Queen Games might actually join in at some point.
Cool.
How many can you have on?
6.
That's it?
6.
That's it.
But this is better than the none that our option was before. So
I don't know. I've known some nice nuns.
Oh, well, there you go. Hold on, I'm gonna see if he's available. Give him the linkage so he can get in. Anyway, so yeah, there we go. Hey, we're all back from Gen Con and we're still alive, so to speak. Sort of. Hey, and there's Richard Ham.
There we go.
I have to click the button to allow you in.
I'm aware. It tells me that as I've been sitting here for half an hour waiting for you to click the button.
Half an hour.
Goddamn Lance Mike.
Give or take 29 minutes.
There. Like Kabuki Kid said, save a slot for Aldi. See, look at this. I can.
Aldi will not be on tonight.
And then Kabuki Kid said, "Hi, Richard."
Hi, Kabuki Kid. Where are you? So this is not being simulcast to YouTube, is it?
Yes, it is.
It is.
So the chat bubble he popped up was from the chat on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh.
This software is awesome. Me and Aldi and Barry, Europe Barry, tested it out this afternoon, and Aldi said he won't be on tonight because he's got guests in town, but it does a lot more than Google Hangouts did. The chat software is better. The interface with the chat on YouTube is better. And once they open up more than 6 users, when they do that, this is going to be way better than Google Hangouts.
So that's something they've announced is coming more than 6?
Yeah, I think they said 10. I think if you go Premier, it lets you have up to 10 people, but you have to sign up for it, and it's like $200 a year. But then it gives you more features. It goes up to higher instead of 720p, it goes up to 1080p, and it'll add 4 more users for up to 10 people at once.
Well, I will throw in $20 towards that 200.
I told Lance the same thing, so he's going to see about sponsorship first.
Yeah, I'll kick in also.
Well, I think we'll add Moneybags Alden. See if he wants to sponsor the boom first, right?
Yeah.
So,
wow, there's only like a 3-second delay.
Yeah,
it's
super fast.
What was that, Jim? Sorry.
How old/new is this particular StreamYard software?
This showed up like almost immediately after Google Hangouts died.
It's new. It's brand new.
Is this what Scott used for that show he put up yesterday or whatever, last week, whatever? With his crew,
Okay. Here, I think Travis is going to come in, and I think I'm going to let him and Richard Ham gush about runestones when he gets in.
Oh, Keith's here.
Oh, Keith's here. Now he can't get in. What the heck?
Oh, no.
Oh, we're already this horrible system. This is the worst. Well, there we go. We got our 6.
For Keith over Travis.
Well, that's okay.
Keith deserves it.
Well, we'll ask Richard Ham. What did you think of Runestones from Queen Games?
I thought it was very good. My only complaint about it is, like almost any deck builder, after you played it, you are thinking, oh, I like it, but will there be expansions? Because there aren't enough cards in the box by default. No different than Dominion or something like that. But yeah, we definitely enjoyed it. It is one of those few games that right after we played it, Jen said, let's play that again, which very rarely happens. But it was so fast and breezy and just really solid. Although, I put a video up and several people have complained. It looks like it is very, very aggressively anti-colorblind. And it doesn't look like Queen's done anything about that. If Travis were to get in, I would grill him about that because people are asking me, what about the red and the green? We won't be able to play, etc.
I'll
Well,
dump out
that
so
would stink.
Travis can get in.
Well, just is he trying to get in?
dropped him in the butt. I think I caught it.
You don't have to leave,
I
dude.
don't know.
You're the only one who can see that.
That's all right. I'm finishing
Or the
game night
moderator.
real quick. I just had to jump on and see if it was working.
All right, well then jump out and let me.
So how much is this to buy the full version?
It's like $250 a year.
0 for you because we're gonna make. I already sent the invoice to Scott, so yeah.
Well, if not, I'll chip in.
Yeah, I think if we all chip in like $20, we can buy a year. So it's no big deal. Here, hold on. Quick, there is a spot for you. And then Travis can get in here, and he can talk. He can go runestones talk. So anyway, hey, I didn't see you at the Gen Con there, Richard.
That's correct. I was not at the Gen Con.
So what did you do instead of Gen Conning?
Jen, my wife, Jen with a J, was in England for the entire month of July, literally all 31 days, or however many it was. She got back, I think, on August 2nd, which I think was the day that Gen Con started. And so we hadn't seen each other for a while, so we hung out.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Gen Conning.
Yes. So I was all Jen can't because Jen couldn't. She did. I mean, she sold stuff at Dice Tower West and at Board Game Geek Spring, and she did really very good numbers both places. So she wanted to go, but she just realized there's no way after being away for a month that she would be up for a week of just hardcore 24 hours of nonstop sales. So maybe next year, if she doesn't schedule another entire month away in the month of July thing.
All right. Well, then I will ask this question then of everyone. What was the disappointment? And this is game wise. We can talk like whatever disappointment if you want to talk disappointment in like some aspect. And I guess we can let Richard talk about games because he's gotten a few of the games there. What was the now that you've gotten home and theoretically played some of the new games that you picked up, or games that you played there, the game that let you down, the game that surprised you, and the diamond in the rough.
Ooh,
okay. from Gen Con. And I'll go first, and then since I had the question, I would know. So the game that let me down, no, I don't want to do that from first. So I don't want to trash. No, I don't want to trash on stuff right away. So the game that I liked or whatever, that's Black Angel. That's exactly what I thought it would be, and it turned out. And I'm getting really weird. There's like all these people that are poo-pooing on it, like, you know.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's
what about?
Just that it's like very much like disconnect from the theme and what's going on.
That's so ridiculous.
And
that drives me nuts.
And people like it just like, it just seems like it's just mechanisms moving through, you know, the going through the motions.
That's bullshit. It is a very thematic game. I will grant them that it is a shame that the developers couldn't be bothered to explain the theme in the rule book. And they just rely on players to recognize and see how it works. And then if they don't, if it's not spoon-fed to them, then they'll just assume, there's no theme here. What do these tiles mean? What does this die mean? It all has meaning. It all thematically ties together. But Pearl just didn't explain it in the rulebook. And that is frustrating. But more frustrating that people don't just see the really obvious things. I mean, those little tiles you slide in, we're an AI. So those tiles are subroutines. The dice that get rolling, those are CPU cycles that we as different AIs are trying to grab hold of to be able to run our own programs. We're reprogramming ourselves as we go. It's all thematic.
Yeah. So there was a disconnect. A relatively well-known blogger about board games said that she and her husband it was a very funny tweet.
Oh, you mean Tiffany, right?
Yeah, got bored and decided that she'd rather have sex with her husband halfway through the game, and then decide whether or not they get back to it at some point.
Yeah,
I thought
the post was something like, any game that makes us halfway through decide to have sex and take a nap maybe isn't for us.
Yeah. So which I thought was cute. That was nice. It's polarizing. The game's being polarizing a little, but it's like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a great deal, and I don't know. It'll probably end up in my top 10 for the year.
Yeah.
The one that I don't know. It'll probably end up in my top 10. The one that I'm who's got their stupid thing.
Who's got Lance on YouTube?
Who hasn't muted their YouTube? See, the thing is that you don't even have to watch it on YouTube.
Oh, it's Jim.
Well, and you don't even have to watch it on YouTube, right? Because you can see the only reason to watch it on YouTube is to see the
chat.
The chat, and we can see the chat in this system. So there's no reason.
I wish we could see it. I was
actually gonna pop onto YouTube so that Keith could pop on here.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh,
you can do that.
Whatever you want to do there, Jimmy.
How do we see a history of the chat that's going live via this interface?
Only Lance can see it.
Pop up.
Oh, you guys can't see the chat?
No, you get to see it. It's
okay. Well, then never mind. I can see the chat. You can't. So.
Well, YouTube chat, you can always hit the pop out button, and then you're set. Just have it off to the side.
Yeah, I'll just say Paul Tompkins said Black Angel is great.
Oh, is that something you can click on things?
Yeah, I can click on them and have them.
I wish everyone had the option to at least see the chat, but Lance can just share the chat as he sees something worth sharing.
Yes.
But an interesting point was raised by Richard about how much of a theme needs to be spoon-fed to people, and how much can we expect people to just... I mean, there's a certain amount of credit you have to give to players.
Well, yeah, I mean, and sometimes you have games that will demonstrate that better than others. So Jim, that is a very nice board. I'm sorry, this is you guys know. Jim sent me a image of the game board for his new Cosmic Frog game. So that is a very, very I like that very much.
You can show it if you can. I don't know how to do it.
I can show my phone. You can see it right there.
Technology.
Yeah, it's Black Mirror right now. No, so okay, so that was. I would love to say the Legacy game, the Kingdom Legacy or whatever game. I haven't been able to play it yet, so I haven't gotten my group together to start pounding that one away. So I want to know. So I'm still curious. So the game that everybody was all jazzed for it, and they're all like, "Ooh, yeah, this is the," and it was and I know Keith was like, "Ooh, Mystery House," and I was just kind of like, "Oh, okay," and so I went over and my daughter wanted to try it out. She liked the idea of the fact that you're looking in the box itself. If you don't want a Mystery House, go and look it up. Basically, there's all these little windows, then you can look through and you can kind of see things, and then there's an app. It's app driven, and it's you correspond these two things together, and you try to figure out this puzzle basically to be able to remove certain tiles that'll open up more of the house to be able to see. And so my daughter and we played through the demo of it, and I was like, okay, I mean, this is kind of neat, and I I wasn't against it in any way, but I was doing that, and then I was just it was so the base game comes with 2 scenarios, and those 2 scenarios take between an hour to 2 hours to complete. So you're selling a game that has 4 hours of gameplay inside of it. I mean, admittedly, other people can come up and play it instead of you. And I was just kind of like, well, and it's like a $60 game. Now, I understand we're in a world where the idea is that, most people don't play a game more than twice. And I know they're going to sell expansions for it as well. But but here's the thing where it's like you're basically selling a box and you're going to be selling these little cardboard slots, and it's just an app. And I understand things take time to develop and things take time to, but you don't really need rules. I mean, like the guy doing the demo basically explained how everything works. It's all app driven. You click on the tile, the slot, so it's tile L4. You click on that, and then there's this list of things, and you click on the thing that you want to interact with, and then the app itself tells you. So the game itself doesn't have any like paragraph books or anything that's going to be giving you any information. It's all going to be this app, and then the actual manual thing is going to be you pulling these little slots up and then picking this thing up and looking around. It's a weird. It feels like a really weird money grab. And there was even like they had these like mystery house special flashlights, which are basically little tiny flashlights, but they had mystery house, and they were selling those for like $15 a pack for these 4 little tiny flashlights. And I was just kind of like, I mean, I don't know. I guess, is this where we're going now with this? I mean, I remember like 2-3 years ago, I was a big curmudgeon when it comes to like the integration of the like apps in board games. And I know I was like totally against it. And I realized that things are just going into that direction or whatever. But I mean, this is a thing where the more I thought about it, the more it made me angry. I guess it was just kind of like, oh, it doesn't do anything. It's just like it's basically an app game with like you're buying a box that has windows on it. And I don't know. It bugged me after I thought about it for so long. And then it was one of those things where I got done playing it and I was like, well, that's kind of neat. And then I was just kind of like, oh, and I went over and they had sold out of whatever, like 100 copies they had brought with. And I was like, oh, I'll have to pick that up once it comes out. And then I thought about it for a while and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to pick that up. I don't think I'll bother. I was just, so that was the one that kind of, after I thought about it long enough, it started to annoy me a great deal. And there you go. Now, the Diamond in the Rough that probably nobody knows anything about. I'm gonna tie this one because these are the 2 games my daughter and I played over and over again, and we both love these games, and they are really well done. One is Songbirds from Daily Magic, and the other is Flip Over Frog from Hub Games. And it's tough to explain. Hey, Travis is here. It's tough to explain. So Songbirds is a game where you get a hand of cards, and basically you and the other players place these songbirds down in a grid. And eventually, when you finish a column or you finish a row, whatever songbirds whatever songbird controls the most of that scores the points for that column or that or that row. And then ultimately, the last card that you have in your hand determines which points you get, because the last card you have, it matches up with one of the types of songbirds. And so you're trying to basically hedge your bets and make sure that your songbirds, like you keep one card in your hand, but that card also ends up scoring the most points. And it's just a really clever game, and Ryle and I played a lot of it. And Flip Over Frog is this ridiculously easy to teach but fun game of basically, once again, it's a grid, but you place these you have 3 frog tiles in your hand, and you place them down, and what happens is that like you get to, like, when you the frogs themselves have arrows in each one of the corners, or they have arrows off to each side, and there's 4 different colors of frogs. And at the beginning of the game, you randomly draw a tile that tells you which color frog is your color frog, and then that frog has to have the most frogs face up at the end of the thing. And whenever you put a tile down, wherever the arrows point, you flip over the frog that's in that spot. And a frog tile that's been flipped over, you're allowed to put another frog on top of that. And so what happens is that not only is there like an area control aspect to it, but there's also a memory aspect of trying to remember like what's on the other side of that frog when you flip it over. And so you're basically placing these things down until there's no spaces left to put frogs, or you've drawn all the frog tiles. And it was just really fun. It was just really, really clever. And it was something that like we were able to learn really, really quickly and play games in like 10, 15 minutes. And those were like my 2 Diamond in the Rough games. Anyway, I'm done talking for a little while anyway. So there you go. Who wants to go next for their Travis? We're doing our it's hey everybody, it's Travis Reynolds from Queen Games. No, so we're doing our game that surprised us. Like as far as like like the game we liked from Gen Con, the game that disappointed us, and then the Diamond in the Rough game that you discovered at Gen Con. So yeah. So we'll Pete, since you were actually there, do you actually pick up any games?
Yes, I did. So the game that surprised me the most was probably Era. I went in just thinking it was a roll 'em right knockoff, and ended up really enjoying the game. I've had a lot of fun playing it. I've played it 3 or 4 times already, and I'm already starting to paint it. I really enjoyed playing it. Everyone I've played it with has enjoyed playing it. That one, just for whatever reason, wasn't high on my radar. I had it on my interested list, and I'm so glad I ended up getting a copy of it. Really liked it. Disappointment, I wouldn't say it's so much with the gameplay, but component-wise, I got my copy of Sinister 6 from Spin Masters, and the component quality in that game is just horrible. It's just for a Marvel game, I just expected more, I guess, and the game's fine, but oh god, I'm gonna have to replace almost 80% of the components other than the little busts. It's just super paper thin, brittle. It's gonna, after a dozen plays, it's just gonna be trashed. It was a little disappointed with that, because Spin Master has done pretty decent games prior to, like Hail Hydra I thought was really good. 5 Minute Marvel was pretty good. Component quality seemed pretty good. This one just was it was bad.
Well, weren't they like not allowed to post the like they couldn't actually have like the actual like miniatures of the things because of rights, correct?
So they use the busts, and the busts are actually fine. I'm talking about like just the general component quality. The component quality of the game was just bad. I was just very shocked that the component quality was as bad as it was. Because I've bought other games from that company before, and I've never had that problem. So the game itself was fine, though. Like I said, the game is fine. Just the component quality.
I mean, the game is what? Are you the Sinister Six, or are you trying to play Sinister Six?
Yeah. I mean, and again, the game wasn't stellar. It wasn't like, oh my god. It was just a good, solid game, but the component quality just ruined it for me. Diamond in the Rough, I don't know if I could call this Diamond in the Rough. I don't know how much buzz it really had going in, but I really liked the Unmatched game from Mondo and Restoration Games. It's a knockoff of Star Wars Epic Duels. It uses the same system. So I had low expectations, because Star Wars Epic Duels was fine, but it's a very old game, so it was kind of dated. And I just ended up really having fun with it. I taught a few friends when I got back home, and we played it, and then we're like, oh, let's play it again, and let's play it again. And it just ended up really resonating with people. So we had a lot of fun playing that one. So that would probably be my Diamond in the Rough, the Unmatched series. I'm looking forward to seeing what other people they add to that system.
I love Star Wars Epic Duels. I've traded 2 copies for something I actually wanted over the years. That was really, really hard to get because people love it so much.
Yep. And this is just the same system, except they've done even better with it. They've added some some interesting rules to the game, and the fact that they've got all the licenses that Mondo has, so they can pull like Bruce Lee and Bigfoot and Sinbad and King Arthur. It just they're using a lot of non-IP stuff, but also Mondo has a full line of IPs they've acquired from their from the licenses they used for all their posters and stuff. So they've got just a blank slate of characters they can throw into this game. So kind of like the Funkoverse, it's one of those things that I went in with low expectations because it just seemed like a simple beat 'em up, but ended up really enjoying both of the games a lot. So, but I went with Unmatched only because I had even less anticipation for that one than I did with the other. So that would be it. That's my diamond in the rough.
Diamond in the rough. Jim, did you actually get a chance to go and look at stuff?
I did not. I was in the booth pretty much the whole time. The only thing I got to do was go and do some test plays of my new game, and that was about it.
Well, why don't you tell us about your new game then for a little bit?
So it's tentatively called Cosmic Frog. You play a 2-mile tall, invulnerable, immortal frog who's scooping up land. It's part Euro in terms of set collection and part Ameritrash in terms of fighting. And the test plays went over really well. The only complaint I got was from a couple players that there's part of the game where if you play poorly and get knocked into the outer dimensions, you have to take some time getting back. And they viewed that as skip a turn and basically didn't like that. So that's about it. It's coming along fine. I had my Panda rep play the game so that they could get a feel for the components that I need. So it looks like it's going to be a long map rather than the big square map I started, so it'll fit in a box. I'm trying for neoprene player mats and game mat, wood components, and poker chips instead of cards. So it'll be a fairly high-end, heavy, substantial quality product when I'm done with it.
Do you think that's a direction people are going to go in now? Like more, going to be doing more like poker chips instead of cards and stuff like that?
I don't know. I went to poker chips primarily because I really hate it when people flick cards around. Like Magic players typically are always flipping their decks around. And when you do that, the cards get marked. And if you're using your cards, so in this game, you've got random numbers 0 through 4 that you use. And you can put them out in any order you want to try to play mind games with people, or you can put them out randomly. But I found with cards that they tend to wear, and people tend to know, oh, that's your 4, that's your 2, and so I'll pick your low card or your high card. So that's why I decided to go with poker chips. The thing I find interesting is that I like good components in a game, but I don't like to pay for good components if I'm not going to play the game more than once. So I think if you're going to go the route of high-quality components, you really need to offer a lot of replayability. So that's the conundrum I'm facing right now.
Have we lost Barry?
I'm sorry?
Have we lost? I'm sorry to interrupt, but have we lost Barry?
It looks like he took a break.
Okay. Because Keith is sitting, waiting to jump in. Oh, my. Speaking of
kaboom, kaboom.
Hey, there we go. How's it going?
Never say I never did nothing for you.
Oh, way to go, Richard. Thank you so very much.
All right, we're gonna have. You're waiting. You still gotta wait though. Travis, did you get a chance to wander around and look at games, or were you just chained to the Queen booth the entire time?
You know, pretty much the only thing I played. We do a lot of prototypes there because a lot of the Germans come over and we'll play stuff. That's our chance to play stuff we've kept. So at the show, I mostly played just prototypes. Although there were two things I thought were really cool. The Upper Deck booth was awesome. Did you guys see the Upper Deck booth?
Yeah, they had the Aston Martin in the booth for James Bond Legendary. It was pretty
and
cool.
the James Bond tunnel where you could get your picture and it looked like it was the camera lens from the beginning of the movie and stuff.
Second best booth they ever did.
Yeah, that was great. What was the first time?
2 years ago, Gen Con. They did a booth based off of Shark Island.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, you're just saying that because you designed the game. Come on, the Pork Chop Express.
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
The Bond booth is pretty
Not
awesome.
the game you're looking for.
Now the other thing I wanted to do was I wanted to come to the CMON booth and see the mystery electronic device.
Tebaru, yes.
Yeah. But I didn't make it over. Now,
That
since
was
I was
pretty
gonna say, I
cool.
didn't see you. Normally, we bump into each other 2 or 3 times. I think I only saw you once throughout the whole show.
that was
And it
like
was in
Thursday,
passing.
I think that was Thursday, just walking around. Yeah,
Yeah. Our
Yeah,
booths weren't close together this year.
right. Now, since
I
the
didn't
show,
pick
I played Abomination. Have you guys played Abomination?
No, is that good?
You know, we didn't get to finish it because it's got kind of a curve, but the mechanics and everything fit really well with the theme, and the production value is pretty nice. So I definitely look forward to playing it again. I think I like it, but I'll have to play it again and see.
That's the Frankenstein whatever thing, right?
Right, you're building the bride for Frankenstein, and you're going around, and I mean it's not afraid of going dark. I mean, you're digging up bodies and you're murdering people in an alley to get really fresh body parts, and it's very
macabre. I actually, Jen and I tried to play it the other day, and we didn't get more than 20 minutes in before we said, "Yeah, we're just going to stop now." I knew she'd have a problem with the really. I mean, Travis is definitely underselling it. I mean, it is macabre to the level of grotesque, almost. Not in terms of how it's presented. It's actually really kind of presented in a classy way, but it is just so rich with dread and awfulness. But it's supposed to be because it's a really terrible, horrific, against nature thing we're doing. If you have a replacement spot where one of them is literally just go into a dark back alley and murder somebody, which will completely strip you of your humanity, but who cares as long as I'm getting closer to completing my ultimate, thing. So we had a problem with that, but I thought we'd be able to get through it, particularly because it's interesting. There are good things you can do. And so Jen was just spending all her time, well, I'm just going to go lecture at the university. And the only evil person I'm going to deal with in the back alleys is the dog catchers. Because you can go pay the dog catchers to catch dogs that you could then chop up to be parts of your Frankenstein human animal hybrid, because dog parts are like a wild card. Or you can pay him and then set the dogs free. And it increases your humanity. It's just like, okay, this is all I'm going to do the whole game. Forget actually making the monster. Yeah. But the other, quote, good thing you can do is you can go to the local church and do charitable works. And every time you do it, you draw 2 cards and pick one, or maybe you just draw one and do whatever it says. And the thing that shocked us about that, I didn't even see this coming, almost every single one of those church cards is screw you, steal your stuff, prevent you from doing what you want to do, like blockage dick moves. And so they're supposed to be the one good thing where we're charitable to everybody, but it's like the meanest part of the game. And so that's pretty much what killed it for us.
I think there's a little more depth. I think you have to see a lot of the characters. Like one of the guys in our game had the character where if he gets his humanity really high, then he starts scoring points. So he never even collected any body parts. He just focused on raising
Where's the
his
fun
humanity.
in that?
But that was just it was a different character. And if you go to the church, some of the cards will let you speed the timer along so the game ends sooner. So people don't have time.
And you would do that specifically to screw over everybody else because, I'm almost done with my monster. I'm going to try and end this now so that nobody can finish theirs. Right. That's one of those cards. Of the deck of, I think there's like 15 or 16 of those cards, 4 of them aren't designed to screw with your opponents. And I was just like, there is no reason for this at all. And it seems really, I guess maybe they're kind of making a statement about religion that, the religious aspect of the game is by far the most cutthroat element in it. I don't know, or maybe they just thought it was funny. But
it's funny you say that because there's a character who I think is a priest or some sort of a religious figure, and his humanity never goes below 0. No matter what he does, his humanity never drops below 0.
There you go, because he's got the get out of jail free card.
Right. So anyway, I have to try that one again. But it looked promising. It did dark, definitely dark.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mostly played Queen stuff.
That Queen's booth is the one thing I'm bummed that I didn't go to Gen Con for because I would have just spent the whole time hanging out with Stefan Feld, who apparently you guys flew over.
Yeah, that was a busy time. There was lots of people doing that. He's a really nice guy. He's funny, very engaging. He had a great time. Everybody liked hanging out and talking to him. We took him out. We went to the Secret Cabal thing on Saturday night. He had a great time there. He's a good guy, really good guy.
Looks like he could dunk a basketball.
He was a volleyball guy. He and I actually talked about that. He's a high school principal by trade. Did you guys know that he's not just a game designer?
No, that's crazy to me. I saw that in some interview with him, that somebody just mentioned that on board. I think.
Yeah, and now he was a volleyball player back in the day. And I don't know if you saw the picture of me and him and Ryan Bruns and Ulrich, who's one of our developers, but everybody in the picture is 6'4" or taller. And it's got poor Jason Matthews in the front, and he's like 5'10", and he looks like he's a kid.
Aw. That's nice, though.
I don't suppose anybody at any point asked him about the Carpe Diem thing. Probably not.
Well, we didn't talk a lot about Carpe Diem. You may know that's not a Queen game, so
I have heard that, yeah.
I know he was over there and at their booth and signed some. We did some signatures, and people brought everything. We didn't really care. I mean, we just wanted people to meet him. So, what was the question you wanted him to be asked about?
Oh, it's neither here nor there. I can't imagine anybody else is interested. But they did a second printing where, in my opinion, they pretty radically changed the game, and this was after it got nominated for the Kennerspiel. And so the game that got nominated for the Kennerspiel is not the game you can go out and buy now, because they actually took out, to me, a pretty significant rule so that they can make a graphical layout change on the board. And I'm just curious, really, at the end of the day, I'm sure he approved it, but I just always want to know how he felt about it, because he's only posted on Board Game Geek like 20 times in ever. He never, ever posts on Board Game Geek because his English isn't that great. But he did post on Board Game Geek to say, yeah, this is the way it should be, the way it was shipped. And then he never said anything else. And then the publisher, like I said, made a pretty radical change to it. And it was a total stealth thing. You can't even, I don't think there's a way you can tell, maybe if you have model ID numbers or something like that. But that is the one, if I could ever meet him after I stop, fanboying over him, that'd probably be my one big question to ask him is, what happened there? That's just weird. I'm
sure he'd tell you. He was a pretty straightforward guy. I can't think of any questions people asked him that he didn't answer honestly. So I'm sure he'd tell you. That's kind of an interesting decision. They really, I think the committee frowns on stuff like that.
Well, that would have been the other place to ask the question, was ask the 3 committee members from the Spiel group what they think about that change and would it have changed their nomination.
Yeah, I don't think they like stuff like that. I think they like you to
keep travesty. No, sorry. Shocked. I am shocked at the. So did you get to play any other games then, Travis, or besides Abomination, or is that the only thing really?
I have game night tomorrow. The only other game I've played that I brought home was I brought home a copy of Second Chance. Which have you guys played that?
No, what is it? I'm not even remember. I don't remember the name. I mean,
it's a Stronghold game. It's like Eric Martin did a review and he called it the most laid back game ever, and I think he's about right. Pretty much, you have a grid and you're drawing cards. You start with a polyomino piece on your board and you draw it, and every turn you draw two cards, and you choose the one you want to put into your grid. And the idea is you want to fill up as much of your board as you can. If you draw a piece and you can't put either one of them in your grid, you get a second chance by drawing another card. And you don't have to be the last one out. You just have to fill the most pieces. So it kind of rewards you for choosing the more aggressive piece that fills up more space. So it's a very approachable game. My wife doesn't like to play a lot of games, but we broke it out and she really liked it, and we played it again, and she killed us all. So that makes it a good game at my house.
Right. That's one of the 2 new Uwe Rosenberg Tetris roll and writes, basically.
Right. Except there's no roll. It's more a card drawing, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Did anybody get to play Dune?
They didn't have it there.
They had like a copy you could look at, but that's it.
Oh.
I think they got
played it all.
I think they got screwed on shipping or something, right?
Is it a straight reprint, or have they changed it at all? Do you know?
From what I understand, is they streamlined some of the rules just to make it more digestible for today's crowd. I mean, because if you remember, the original Dune. I mean, like whereas like I don't think I would ever consider it to be too complex. The complexity of it was a little bit on the arcane side of things, and so I think I wouldn't say they dumbed it down, or I mean I won't know until they read it. I mean I still have my copy of Dune. I have my copy of Mechatol Rex for that matter. So I'm a big fan of the game. I'm interested to see how they did it. I like the graphical redesign. I think they did a good job with it. Yeah, I don't know.
So that's my favorite novel. I've never ever played the Dune game. It's always been one of my games I'd like to buy to play, but I've never played it. So I pre-ordered the one that they're releasing, but I've never played it yet. So I was wondering if anyone had an experience with the new one.
I have no experience with it whatsoever, though the original is one of the most fantastic, like Ameritrash thematic, like without dice, but it is definitely Ameritrash. Very much negotiation, bluffing. It's just a really, really fantastic game, especially if you're a fan of the source material. Which I am as well. So there you go. Have you read all the novels or just the original?
I stopped after God Emperor 2. That felt like a good stopping point for me. It started to get silly after that. I mean that's just me. I mean, it may be fantastic when his kid took over and what's his name, Christopher. They may be fabulous novels, but I never read any of the Chapter House or any of those. For me, Dune itself was just such an excellent standalone piece. I would have been happy if nothing else had been written on
it. Interesting. All right. Hey, supposedly Queen Games has a game on Kickstarter right now, Travis.
We do.
Yeah, you haven't been talking about that one much.
Me? I've played a lot. I have played a lot of that. So yeah, Runestones is up right now. It's doing pretty well.
Rudiger Dorn.
It is Rudiger Dorn. Rado, did you say that the copy that I sent you only had a total of 8 Runestones in it?
It had 8 unique Runestones. I think there were like 2 or 3 of each one, but in a 2-player game, you only use 1 per.
Right. Okay. I misunderstood. You sent me that email, and yeah. So, yeah. So Lance and I tried really hard to sync up so he could play it at Gen Con, and we just kept banging our head off against not being able to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, he was just avoiding you because it's a deck builder.
He wasn't. He kept coming by.
I wanted to try it out. It looked cool.
And he would
I like Rudiger Dorn games.
I don't know. I think it's good, right? Did you liked it, right?
I think it's great, but that doesn't carry much weight because I love everything. I'm a shield.
Well, and the thing that game needs, I think that game's a good fit for us because that game needs more card variability, more runestone variability, and that's something we're good at. Is coming out with Queenies that enhance and add. So I think it's a good fit for us.
Yeah, that was the one thing that was really surprising about it. I mean, I guess there's enough variety in the cards, for an opening, and then you guys will do expansions and whatnot. But all the cards were pretty straightforward. None of them really did any kind of far out stuff, or they're all pretty simple. And I guess that's because it's a gateway, or you're kind of. I mean, that's kind of what Queen does. You don't do super heavy stuff. Except for maybe Merlin, I suppose. Merlin's probably the heaviest thing you've done in quite a while.
Well, Merlin, Amerigo, Lancaster, Shogun, Wallenstein. That's kind of the heavy line.
Yeah, but that's all ancient history. You mentioned one new one in there.
Yeah, Merlin's the newest one. Amerigo, Lancaster weren't too long ago, I guess. But yeah, you're right. It's been a while.
Since 9 years ago.
Yeah, well, I guess it's all relative. You're right. We haven't done Merlin's the only real recent heavier game we did.
Yeah.
I mean, even like Franchise and Bastille and those weren't. I mean, I think Bastille's light and Franchise. It's not really heavy. It's more of a maybe medium.
Yeah.
hopefully we'll do more. We announced it. We did a media thing there, and we announced we have a game we're working on with Feld. That's a miniatures game. Did any of you guys hear that?
I saw him mention it in every interview that people did with him.
That's good. We told him we wouldn't feed him if he didn't.
Ha!
He performed for his supper.
That's right. Yeah. So I've played it, but it's been a while, and they've been developing it since. But it's a miniatures game. I think in the same sense that like Zombicide's a miniatures game, right? I mean, it will have miniatures in it, and it will have some elements of miniature play, but it will also have elements of Stefan Feld design.
But is it I assume it's an area control player conflict driven game, right?
Yeah, that's all correct. Yes. Yeah.
Weird.
It'll be a combination of it. When I played it, it was a lot of fun. So we'll see. I haven't played it in about a year, but I think it'll be good.
Well, Lance, if you want to play a combat game with me, that's going to be the one, because I am duty bound to cover every single Stefan Feld game that will ever come out, seeing as I'm the only person in the world to have done it. So I will have to cover that so I will have to play it.
Excellent.
So perhaps I'll see you at Next Gen Con across the table.
Yes. I would like to, not to move away, because I do want to hear other people's opinions about these things, but I would like to actually address like a way more important topic. I think that's like probably shaking this hobby to the ground and to its very core. I am, of course, speaking about the Board Game Geek new logo.
That's funny. I just did it. We record a local West Virginia hobby show. We call it Charcast. We basically fuel it from the convention that I run. And I went on a rant about that on our most recent video.
All you needed was a pair of eyes or a pair of glasses. It would have been fine.
But I like the fact that they didn't. Honestly.
That would defeat the purpose of what they are trying to do, because they don't want it to specifically be a face. They want it. I got into a pretty long back and forth on Board Game Geek on the big super 90-page thread, and I likened it to the Adidas logo, or not Adidas, although Adidas is a good one too, because it's just like this weird abstract triangle. But Nike has that swoosh. Everybody in the world knows it. But almost nobody knows that swoosh is supposed to evoke the image of a wing that you would see on the Greek goddess Nike, who is the goddess of victory. But nobody knows that. They just know, it's just an abstract swoosh. And so nobody says, why doesn't that look more like a wing? They should put individual feathers on it so you can tell it's a wing. What's wrong with them? Because the swoosh works on two levels. It's just kind of this smooth, graceful arc that kind of really speaks to Nike's brand, which is motion and grace and all of that. But then it also has kind of a hidden meaning if you know the behind the scenes thing that it's also the wing of Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. But most people don't know that. They just know it's just an abstract shape that kind of captures a thing. And that's what they're trying to do with Bernie, which is what I like to call him. The old one is Ernie, the new one's Bernie, because it's not necessarily no one's supposed to look at it and say, that's a face of a gamer. If anything, they're supposed to look at it and say, that's an abstracted visualization of fire. Specifically because if you go to the front page of Board Game Geek right now, or any page of Board Game Geek, Bernie is up there, little flame thing, and right below it is the hotness. Literally, the words, the hotness, right below the flame, because right off the bat you see, look, here's all the new hot games. It's supposed to represent fire and passion and energy and excitement. And then for people who have a little bit of behind the scenes knowledge, there's almost kind of like an insider reference that, it's also kind of reminiscent representative of the old mascot face. So I like it for that reason. I think that's really cool that it does one thing, but I think everybody's so negatively respond to it like you are, Travis, because, it's supposed to be a face and it doesn't look like a face. The answer is, then it's working because it's not supposed to look like a face.
I should clarify. I'm actually very positive about it. I'm not negative. My rant was more about the people complaining.
Oh, okay.
So I do want to take a counterpoint to you, Richard, because I think that if you wanted to get across fire, there needs to be curvature in it. It's a lot of straight angles,
Mhm.
and there's no motion, which one would expect with the fluidity of fire. Having said that, my problem with it is not that it's abstract per se, is that it doesn't scale well to, say, a cell phone. So it looks like just a red blotch. It takes time and effort on my part to see the angles on it and see the separation.
Mhm.
Perhaps if they move those exterior vector points out slightly farther and gave it more differentiation, I would have a better opinion of it. But right now, it looks more like a blotch than it does any significant form. And that's my concern with it.
You know, and see, that to me, that's good feedback. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff they should address that if it's a problem. My take on it was this. You see all these people on social media that were complaining about it. My take on Board Game Geek is if you're complaining about it, chances are you already used Board Game Geek for what it's to be used for, right? You're a user. You go there, you look up games, you look up designers, you look at the hotness. The change of the change of all the front-facing part of Board Game Geek is not for those people, right? I mean, the reason you have marketing stuff is to attract users, and all those people are already users. So it's not for them, right? So you're going to keep using the Geek for the same things that you already use it for. I mean, the changes are meant to be more appealing and more open to new users, I think. At least I think that's the idea.
I would imagine so, although I'm sure any hater of the logo would argue it fails by that metric because, as Jim pointed out, it's just an orange blob. Why would anybody be attracted to it?
What's the
underlying argument?
What is the Mitsubishi logo of?
Mitsubishi.
Is it
3 diamonds?
Yeah, 3 diamonds. What the hell do 3 diamonds have to do with Mitsubishi? I don't know. I mean, that's just an example, right? Logos don't have to be representative of the product or the company.
But the logo,
it's a logo.
Again, go back to the Nike swoosh. The swoosh, of course, if you know who Nike is, I mean, I just happen to know.
Right.
But if you know who Nike is or what Nike is, you will get that double entendre. And it does have a characteristic which is fluid and action-oriented, which supports their just do it. My problem with the Board Game Geek is that if you don't know what it is, or you're not familiar with Board Game Geek, the departure from, say, just an orange rectangle is so minimal, it's difficult to have any emotional connection to it. That's
Why do you need an emotional connection to it?
That's what logos are for. Logos are for a capture, if not cognizant, a subcognizant reaction that associates it with a brand.
So how critical is the logo to a brand when a brand has no competition?
It still, I think, is critical. I mean,
I don't think anybody goes to Board Game Geek. Nobody went to Board Game Geek to look at Ernie. Nobody gave 2 shits about Ernie in that corner.
Oh,
but everybody cares about this, and it means nothing. It doesn't change the content. It doesn't change anything else. It's just something for the internet to bitch about because that's all people want to do is bitch on the internet.
Well, okay, and I'm just going to stop you right there because Scott Alden is synonymous with Board Game Geek for us, and Scott Alden is our friend, and he's on the boom a lot. So I mean, a lot of this does come from our support for Scott and the fact that we know that like he cares a great deal about what he does and everything like that. So I don't always agree with we want to complain about something on the internet because with the internet we want to complain. I mean it's either my old boss at TMG used to say it's like isn't it great that we create something that inspires this amount of passion from people. I will completely 100% agree with the statement of what you just said, Keith. Nobody went to Board Game Geek to look at Ernie. Nobody did. I mean, nobody went there for that. I mean, and I would say most people didn't even know that his name was Ernie, and they had no idea about any of it. And this was another one of those things where it was like, oh, hey, this is our new site, and this is what we changed over here, and this thing that we did here. And I mean, it's I would say, and this is just with no psychology degree or anything of that matter whatsoever, I tend to think that this is a manifestation of a lot of people's annoyance with things that they have a problem with as far as Board Game Geek, the website, the way it looks, the way it's designed, the way the interface, the UI, all that stuff. And it is the low hanging fruit. It is the thing where it's like, oh really, you went to a company and had them create this logo for you, and and this is what they gave you. They gave you this orange blob, and I think that's where. And the thing is that in a month nobody will care. But I mean, it does matter. It matters. If people are taking it upon themselves to take time out of their day to go on here and say, hey, I don't like this. This kind of stinks. Then, yeah, I mean, it matters. But it's and I always think the whole thing of relativity wise, like, oh well, it's like, what is this compared to other things? I mean, I think that I don't know. I know I kind of tongue in cheek started this conversation and I made the joke, but
So Lance, let me just say one thing about this logo, because the thing about it is they have an opportunity to make this into a dynamic logo, right? So if you take a logo like the Nike swoosh, that's it. You've got the swoosh. That's all it can be, and it has become, just through time, synonymous with Nike. However, the Board Game Geek logo, you can play with that. For example, they could throw a set of glasses on it for a week. It's gone. They go back to the logo for a month. They could throw a set of eyes on it. It's gone. They could make a flame on it. It's gone. It is a nice template to make it into an organic, dynamic logo where it maintains the same form, the same structure, perhaps even the same basic color scheme, but can represent different aspects of the game, of Board Game Geek. So I think in that sense, as long as it's not left as a static flat blotch, I think it can be quite powerful for Board Game Geek.
Perhaps, but I mean, and I don't want to speak for Scott, but I it's my belief, I guess, that's not what they want, though. What they want is they want something that over the course of time will be a logo that they're going to stamp on their merchandise. They're going to stamp it on their websites. They're going to stamp it on everything going forward, that people are going to see it, and it is going to be synonymous with, what they're trying to present.
And the only thing that I, as a visual person, would like to see was more differentiation in the logo, so that at a glance it has some definite form.
And it's intentionally not having a definite form, though.
Right.
Well,
that is the intent.
Maybe it'll see some change. One of the things Lance said I thought was really interesting. He said nobody came to the website to look at Ernie. But the thing is, if you're new to the website, the fact that, it's not 2000 anymore, right? It's not late 90s. This hobby is very diverse now, right? It's not made up 95% of all white guys, right? It's got there's a huge number of women. There's people of color, people of different ethnic backgrounds. Having a white cartoon guy as your main logo, I think it's a smart choice to change it.
There you got it. That's why.
Yeah, that's what drove them.
That is the driving force. And if you want to see it as an abstract head, you can see it as an abstract head. If you want to see it as an abstract fire, you see it as an abstract fire. If you want to see it as an abstract pile of game boxes, that's what you see it as. You can choose for it to be whatever's in your mind's eye.
Right. And in 6 months, we won't be talking about it. And all the new users will see that are potentially attracted by it not being a less inclusive logo. That's great. It's great.
Nice kitten.
And now we're overwhelmed with cuteness.
So I did see, there were a lot of people playing with the logo, having fun last week. My favorite one was somebody did BGG in white down the side and spelled out Board Game Geek, each in the cell of a Calyx shelf. It spelled Board Game Geek because the Calyx is the icon of the Board Game Geek. That was one of my favorite branding that somebody did, but somebody else fixed it. They had the Calyx with the Board Game Geek, and then there was a box on top that said Gloomhaven, which is exactly what mine looks like. So That amused me quite a bit. So fans did have some good fun with it, but I think it'll all blow over because it's going to. As I said to people on Facebook, because it popped into my feed and I got tired of seeing people gripe, was you are free to choose the other website that you find that has everything you ever needed to know about board games. I'll wait. And that was my post. And I'll stand behind that. You don't go there to look at the branding. You go there to look at the content.
This is what happens when you don't go when there's a free kitten booth. Hold on. Nugget, get over here.
So I'm going to correct Lance's Mystery House talk while he's not there. Because it's only $40, not $60. You get 2 adventures and you get the house, which makes it comparable in price since you reuse the house to all the other escape room games. And it's super fun to play.
So Keith, is it substantially different from Mysterium?
So Mystery House is more like Unlock than it's nothing like Mysterium. So it's more like an Unlock or an Exit, etc. Your module comes with a bunch of cards that you slip inside the house. So they'll and you build a house. And you can only see the outer edges of the house as you look down the tunnels. And they sold the flashlight pack, or they have the flashlight pack for some dude. Everybody uses their phone or flashlight in your pocket or whatever. A light is helpful. What's super cool about Mystery House is you're looking at elements on that card. You're going, oh, I think I see something. So I go in the app and I type in J5, card J5. I said, I'm going to look in the potted plant. Oh, there's nothing in that potted plant. Okay. I'm going to look at location R4 and I'm going to look in that bag. Oh, you found half of a key card in that bag. And so you're physically looking at things in the house, entering in the app. That's when you get to draw cards and get things to interact with the house. As you solve a card, it comes out. You can see deeper in the house. You have to cut angles and things like that. So it is truly an escape room in the box where you actually kind of move around your escape room because you change it and see things and you look for things and then interact. And that's what I thought was super cool about Mystery House. So the price overall isn't bad because it's only $40 and you get 2 adventures, which I said is comparable to buying Unlock or Exit or anything
And how
else.
long would you say those 2 adventures each last?
Oh, they probably have a goal of like an hour to 2 hours, just like
So standard escape room.
The standard escape room box, except you're dealing with a 3D representation. If you haven't seen it, I can show you super fast what the house looks like because it's right here. So you've got a 3D house that you rotate around to look at. Oops.
Lance, do you have the ability to force any one of us to be full screen?
I'm looking. I'm seeing what
you just did it a second ago.
Yeah, I did that for me though.
Oh.
So hold on.
But I don't have any code.
Nah. Oh no, I removed
it. Keith, you may be able to hit the share screen button and share your screen. Which
I don't
will
even
show.
see a share screen button.
Rather than that letterbox, putting us all in 4x3 or whatever that was.
Well, I just say you all look beautiful from my screen.
Hold on here.
Oh,
yeah, you just did something there.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, very pretty, very
So
pretty.
see, you'll see a card like that down a hallway. So you'll see a statue down a hallway, or you'll see, a torch down a hallway, etc.
Okay.
And so that's what you're seeing when you're looking around the hallway. You're seeing, oh look, there's a door with some stuff on it. And so that's what all you interact with.
Do you leave the box on the table and everybody's like crouching down, or just
you pick it up, you rotate around, you can give people different angles on it, however they want to do it.
Okay.
So you're free to handle it. And then you've got a deck of cards that are numbered with items. The app will say, okay, take card number 7, and that becomes a physical object. So I find a key, you get a card to represent that key. And so when you go in the app, you say, okay, I'm looking at a 1. It's a whole list of stuff on there. It says, what do you want to mess with? Oh, I want to mess with this. And it'll tell you what it is. Or if you pick something that's not there, it's like, no, that's not there. And it'll call you out on it. And it can penalize you time, etc., just like the unlocks do. So I think if you like Unlock and those escape room games, I think with this brings that 3D and looking through the house type scenario, I think you'll really dig it. And that's the audience that this clicks for.
What
were they selling? Were they selling any additional modules that you could buy?
No, I went and talked to them about additional modules. So you won't see additional modules start to pop up until next year, start of next year. And then they plan to have, a couple modules every couple of months type of thing.
Oh, so it's like Time Stories. You're paying a premium up front for
correct
the equivalent of a DVD player, and later on you can just buy individual DVDs.
Correct. That's
$19.95 kind of thing.
Yeah, I shouldn't put the whole thing away.
Did they say like $20 or something for the?
She didn't actually say, but I'm guessing. My guess is they're going to be $20 a pop.
My guess is that they suck.
So if I can get the stupid game piece apart.
So there's our first game that makes one person's biggest disappointment and another person's diamond in the rough.
Yeah, I loved it. So see, there's two scenarios right there.
Biggest surprise.
And we'll say that it came out so quickly that only one of the two boxes in the game is actually in English. That's still in Italian.
Oh, wow. The cards are playable, right? It's just the box?
Right. The box is that way, but the cards are in English, and then it uses the app. So it's not a problem, but they'll be selling just little boxes like this for the other adventures.
My last question for you, Keith.
And there's an actual rule book in it.
You are familiar with Unlock and Exit, the two big dogs
in
this arena. They both have 1 to 5 difficulty rating scales. Where would you put this game on one of their rating scales?
Oh, I only played the demo so far because I haven't actually cracked into them.
Okay.
So the demo is...
There's 3 games in there?
The demo was just a con exclusive demo, so it was a little bitty short version.
Sure.
And I will say, it took out the center, I want to say... probably the center 9 squares is where the cards were faced versus taking the entire 25 squares. Or 16, I can't get. Yeah, it's 25 squares total. So, again, you have 4 sides on each one of those. The demo scenario, you were trying to break into a bank vault and disarm a bomb type of thing. It wasn't super difficult, but there was some interesting math.
So, of course, it's not
going to be. But the puzzles... it didn't hold your hand like
what is an example of a puzzle that you can get from just looking through windows at images?
So there's no single puzzle from looking through a window. You get elements that become a bigger puzzle. So maybe this will be a little bit spoilery on the demo.
Yeah, on the demo, which everybody's going to play for in 10 minutes and move on.
So in the demo, you're going to look in a thing and you'll see a scale with an object on it or a stack of objects with a weight. Okay. Later on, you've got a route through the town that you find that has several stops on it. One of the stops includes the name of the location where you are. Eventually, you find out a code you're going to need is equal to the weight of the gold bars on the truck at the time it visits your bank. So you have to figure out which stop you are. And finally, you find a delivery receipt that says, this is how many bars were loaded on the truck at each stop. And you've got to figure out how many bars were on the truck by the time it got to you exactly. Then you've got to figure out that weight conversion. And that becomes your code.
So, that is kind of pretty standard escape room in your home type stuff.
Yeah.
So it is standardy, puzzly type things, just with a different visual delivery vehicle.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you like Unlock and Exit, you will like Mystery House. If you're looking for if you don't like those, you should not buy this because you will not like it. It's as simple as that. It is an escape room in a box, just like all the others, except this one's 3-dimensional, and you get to catch angles and look for things and find things in a different way than just flipping through a deck of cards.
Yeah. Okay.
So why did you?
I did watch people play it at the Hot Games Room, and I watched people get stuck and give up.
Tifa, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
In terms of this game, one of the things I loved about Say Mysterium was that it did put an onus on the player to use their imagination. Do you feel that this also engages the players more to use their own imagination?
No. This is not about using your imagination at all. This is about solving a puzzle. If you want to use your imagination and you like Mysterium, you want to screw it up, you go with Obscurio.
If you want to use your imagination with Mystery House, you'll have to imagine a game that isn't trying to suck money out of your wallet.
Again, it was only $40, Lance. That's not bad for 2 adventures.
Don't hold back. Say what you really feel.
I'm just trying to be that guy. Hey, Jim actually has a request, like for each of us to share with us our favorite thing about Gen Con, and it can be anything, and the thing we dislike the most about Gen Con. It can be anything, and I think Jim should go first since he wants to talk about it.
I have a clarification question. Do you mean Gen Con in general or Gen Con 2019?
Gen Con 2019.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have very little to say.
So here's my gripe. People,
No, you got to start with the positive first, so then we can end on a rant.
I'm starting with
Accentuate the positive.
I'm starting with a negative because the positive is so good. I want to end on a happy note.
Latch onto the affirmative.
Oh.
So my negative was, as someone with a booth, people are completely oblivious this Gen Con more than ever, I think, to just standing with their people, talking about what they're going to do, where they're going to eat in front of your booth. They have no concept that, dude, I've got demos going. I've got people who I need to talk to. You can't just stand in front of my fucking booth with your 8 friends and talk about where you're going to eat and stand there for 15 minutes and block my booth. It seemed like people were, I mean, I've been in Gen Con since 2014. And it seems like this year people were just completely oblivious to the blockage that they were presenting when they just stood in the aisle and talked to their friends. That's my gripe.
I kept on asking him over and over again. Oh, hey, can I interest you in a demo of the game?
No, what I did is I told my people, just politely say excuse me and go and rearrange the demo or something like that, so they got an idea that there was something going on behind them. And it worked most of the time. I don't like to tell people, hey, push off, but I do want people to know that they are taking up a lot of space in an aisle where I need people moving through and looking at stuff. So that was my gripe. However, I did have 2 phenomenal experiences at this.
You get one. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Fuck you.
Oh, my negative is that Jim's mean.
The 2 greatest experiences I had at this Gen Con were number one, there was a gentleman who came every single year and asked me for Shadows of Malice, and I had to tell him I didn't have one. It was sold out. I couldn't give him one. Every year he came. This year he came and asked, and I could say, yes, I have one for you. And he was so happy to get it. He was so, I mean, you could see it in his eyes. It was like finally he got what he wanted every year. I could give it to him. And then as he was leaving, I gave him a copy of the expansion for free. And I thought he was going to cry. He was so happy. And that moment was, for me, just phenomenal, that somebody cared enough that I was able to give them something that they didn't expect, that just made their day. And that was one of my most phenomenal moments at Gen Con. And the other moment that was almost as good, not quite.
I know, when I came over and said hi. I mean, you're
welcome. Number 3. I'm only allowed 2. Was Keith Collins actually got one of my games. That was one of my highlights of Gen Con. So those are my 2 highlights of Gen Con.
You know, that's kind of neat. Maybe when you gave him the expansion, you should have said, I'd love to give you this expansion if in return you would clear people out from standing in front of my booth for 15 minutes.
You know what? That's brilliant. A, my mind doesn't think that fast, and B, I wanted to make that moment all about him. That's it. I'm done.
Fair. Does anybody else want to say a positive and a negative?
Sure. Negative. Those stinking darn tootin' freaking board game backpacks that knock people around like a freaking pinball.
Oh my God.
You cannot get from one end of Gen Con to the other without getting pummeled by people who are turning quickly to look for someone or turning on an aisle and smack you in the back with their 3-foot freaking backpacks. That exactly what Keith's got right there. That freaking bag is the bane of all conventions.
Oh my God, I hate those fucking things.
They are fantastic for game night. They are not great when you have 60,000 people, of which 10,000 are wearing those backpacks, and 2 people sitting next to each other block an entire aisle. It's horrible.
I saw 2 people, I kid you not, that had those backpacks. One turned and knocked the other person like 2 feet away.
I don't doubt it.
Oh yeah,
I
that's what the gamer turtles are good for.
I got hit at least 6 or 7 times walking through the aisles, and every time I just wanted to turn around and swing, and I'm like, oh God, just keep walking. And these people, they're oblivious to the fact that they've got 3 feet of backpack, so they're like, oh, hey, look at that, and wham, and they knock over 3 people in the process.
And they're so cheap, they're everywhere.
They're $20. They're selling them at the show for $20 to $30. Miniature Market had one. Board Game Tables had one. There was another brand there. I mean, they're all over the place, and they're all very affordable, which is great. They make a great gaming backpack to take to your local game store. Not good at a convention. Origins had the same problem. They were all over the place at Origins, and they were even worse at Gen Con this year. And every year it's just going to get worse as more people pile these backpacks in and start carrying their stuff around.
I had one given to me on my way out Sunday, and I refused to take it even out of its bag.
I got one for free this year too, and I kept it I kept it folded until I got back to my room, and then I filled it up with a bunch of stuff. So that's my negative.
No, that's what I was just wearing on.
Yeah, he was wearing it, Rado. Look at how big.
Shoot, I looked away.
So it's a backpack, but it holds your standard Memoir 44
yeah.
flat.
No, I covered ones like that a couple of years ago when they were on Kickstarter, and they were like much more expensive.
Yeah, the game canopies that were nice.
Oh, they're making them almost as good now for like $20-$30.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're all over the place, and in a crowded convention hall where space is at a premium, one person wearing that bag is taking up the space of 2 people. So it's just making it harder and harder to navigate the floor.
And I think the cost of manufacture is like $2 on these things.
Yeah.
So they're just making money hands over fist.
And the positive, as always, as has been for my last 2 or 3 years now at Gen Con, is my time at the Hot Games room, hanging out with my friends, away from the show, just hanging out, goofing off, playing games. It's the most anticipated night of my Gen Con is the night I get to just hang out in the Hot Games room and chill with my buds that I don't get to see very often. It has been and probably always will be my Gen Con highlight. And I'm done.
HGR, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a negative.
My positive, getting to know my new roommate that I had this year. Rob Oren is a hell of a guy to hang out with for 5 days. Just one of the best people I've ever met, and great roommate, easy to get along with. We would get up in the morning. He'd get up, go work out. I'd get up, get ready. He'd come back from his workout. We'd go and drop his stuff off at UPS, and we'd start walking the hall together while he was filming and hanging out and having a good time. So getting to know him was fantastic. There's not a better guy I'd rather have as a roommate in a situation like that where I'm working for BGG. It was fantastic.
You
I
know,
would do it again anytime.
I got to tell you, I met Rob for the first time in person at that Gen Con, and he strikes me like actually the people on the show is a very authentic and a very kind person. It was really nice to meet him.
Yeah, the other thing is I've decided he could kill you in an instant without even thinking about it because, like, I'll tell you what's freaky. He goes to bed early because, he's old and shit because that's what he says. He's 58 and you've seen what the man looks like. That's no joke. And, he goes to bed earlier than I do at the convention. So I come in being as quiet as I can, come in, shut the door and latch it, and just go creeping over to the bed. And he'll turn over. He was asleep. You could hear him sleeping when you come in. And he'd just be full conversation awareness in a heartbeat as you walk in. Like if somebody woke me up or I was even remotely conscious, I'd be like, And what? And I'd fall back asleep. He'd be like, "So, did you try the blah 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 blah?" blah? I'm like, "Holy crap, this is weird." You could have killed me.
The most amazing thing about all these things you're saying about Rob, it's true, and it's fascinating that they were able to teach a shaved down gorilla how to do all those things.
Oh, here we go.
Wait, he calls you the shaved down gorilla.
Well,
So
it's really it's just fascinating that
and
that,
Rob had me rolling with his Lance impersonations.
What?
Because that sounds like me, apparently.
Did you say that?
What? That doesn't
That
sound
was
like
a
me
great
at all.
dinner.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like a great caricature of you, is what it sounds like.
I go, huh? A lot?
Yeah, would you like your sarcastic eyes? That's you all the time. See, right there. Least favorite? I don't have a lot of least favorites. I didn't get super angry at anything this Gen Con at all. It all went pretty well for me. So I have nothing to really gripe about. I just got exhausted at certain points. And I only had to kick one group out of the hot games room. I mean, it was that easy. So it was, overall, everything just ran really well when we were working. And it was Gen Con, so it was a good time.
I think hanging out with my daughter was like the cool thing again. I mean, just having her with me, having her at Gen Con is just it's just fun, just to be hanging out and having a good time.
Playing a game with your daughter was fun because she is a fun gamer.
What did you play with her?
We played that crappy countdown to We're All Doomed thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're Death to Tyrants.
we all lost, but
we all lost because nobody wanted anybody to win.
Yeah, exactly. Which is how the world works.
That was actually, I had fun playing that. And then I don't know. I guess the other positive was watching my old coworkers both set up and tear down the TMG booth. I enjoyed that. I was like, wow, that looks tough. That's mean, but whatever.
That new BGG booth was nice, but man, did that take some setup work.
Oh, you guys had a late start too. You guys didn't get started till Wednesday.
They got a little bit late start. They started Wednesday at about 10:30.
I'll say this. There were a lot of people that knew that I had been laid off from my job, and like all of them, the one negative was it was like everybody wanted me to like tell them like a story about what happened, right? So everybody was like, because it was like, oh hey Lance, and then there was like, hey, how you doing? Just kind of like, and I was just kind of like, yeah. And I went into every single time anything that happened with, I was like, oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. And I just was like, because I wasn't going to like, feed their little like, whatever rumor mongering like world or whatever it was. And I was just like, and then there were like the people that like honestly just came up and like just got that knew me well enough just to say, oh hey, I heard what happened, that really sucks, and just like and they were all like pretty much like, and what can I do? You need help with anything, or what stuff like that. So
I'm sorry, I'm a bit off the loop. Are you saying you've been laid off from Tasty Mistral Games?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He talked about that last week.
Where? Oh, was there a boom?
He posted on Facebook.
Oh, Facebook.
Yeah, if you're not following the Facebook,
right after the boom last week.
Yeah,
he was trying not to answer that when you were asking TMG questions during the last show you were on.
Yeah, I was being funny.
I'm sorry, I had no idea.
Don't worry about it. I will likely before the end of the week have an announcement of I will have a job with another company within the gaming industry. So. So I luckily, like I was laid off before Gen Con, so I was able to use my time there to talk to a lot of people about opportunities, and I had people reach out to me about asking if I would be interested in working for them. So And as luck would have it, I right now I got like 3 offers from 3 different situations where I have meetings tomorrow and on Friday, and I'll end up picking something, and all is well that ends well.
Lance, I do have a question. Were you happier doing what you're doing when you were working for a game company or when you were working at the bank?
Oh, game company. No doubt about it.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got a hot lead. He's going to be the cover girl for Tonto Koro from Japanime Games.
Oh, no.
Are you going to be the booth babe, the booth babe?
Yeah, he's going to be the booth babe for Japanime.
That too. Nice. No. I got, like I said, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to end up doing. I'm just going to, until I actually finalize a contract and everything like that. So I appreciate everybody that reached out and said, it's like, oh, that sucks, and it's like, oh yeah, it does suck. And I wish nothing but the best for Taste of Minstrel Games and all of I made lifelong friends at that company, and yeah, so they will. I'm sure they will move onward and upward and continue publishing awesome stuff. So
wow. So. Yeah. I guess I shouldn't ask because you probably don't want to talk about too much in public till you've got your.
No. What do you want? What's question?
Well, my first question is: was it amicable?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, when I got the call and saying, "Hey, we got to lay you off," I wasn't like, "Yes," But I mean, there was nothing malicious on their end. It was just it was a business decision. It wasn't job performance related. It was
okay.
It was it was a business decision.
All right, so it wouldn't be there wouldn't be anything weird if Seth were listening and he were to jump in if a 6th slot opened up.
No, actually,
I piss on him.
I gave Seth a lot of grief actually because I was like, oh hey Seth, so like it's like I was like, do I give you the business now or later? And he was like, they're doing the setup, and I was like, what? He's like, well, I mean, I really appreciate you reaching out and checking in with me after I got laid off, because he hadn't at all, and I was just like, but thanks a lot, even though it's like, we were friends long before I ever was a coworker. But no, it's just, and to be fair. It wasn't when Michael had to call me up and let me know that he had to let me go. It was a tough conversation for him to have with me, and he definitely, as soon as he got into Indianapolis, he sought me out, and he and I sat down for a good couple hours, and we it was like. And I assured him that, he wasn't like losing me as a friend or anything like that. That was something he was really concerned about. And I was just like, nope, not at all. Just like, and it was just one of those things. And I was able to work for him for 3.5 years, and it was absolutely awesome. And I have no complaints about that time whatsoever. And now like I said, I can go and go off and tackle a new thing, right? And see what happens. So.
And now you know why there's no TMG shots back here. You got shoved up in the corner.
No. I mean, so that's just and the thing was, it was like in a weird way, he did me a favor by laying me off right before Gen Con, because he still paid for my hotel room at Gen Con, and so, I mean, like, that was an expenditure that he definitely didn't have to do, but he paid for that. And, so my daughter and I, we flew in, and I was able to, spend Gen Con actively speaking and setting up meetings and talking to people about job opportunities. So, I mean, like, that speaks a great deal to, Michael's forethought and character as well. So,
wow,
but there you go.
Well, I won't dig any deeper, at least not until you press the no longer live button.
Ha! No. I mean, yeah, and people are always like, "Oh, I'm sure he's all like just super angry." No. I mean, it's just it's like it's a business thing, man. It's not anything, against me personally.
Oh yeah. No, I just was. I mean, one, that's my number one concern. So it sounds like, it sounds more like you said, it's a business decision. That immediately leads me to, so is TMG in trouble? Are they having financial difficulties? Did they run the numbers and decide that your position didn't warrant the extra expenditure for what it did to their bottom line? I mean, I want to dig into all that stuff, but I can't imagine that's the kind of stuff you'd want to talk about on a public forum.
Well, I would think those would be excellent questions if you wanted to ask them. You could reach out to Michael and ask him, and then he could decide whether or not he wanted to answer them for you. So
well, I guess I need to reach out to Michael and find out if he's going to pay me for that Emperor's Choice video.
Seriously, I mean, that like the last day that I worked for them, they asked me to, like basically all of my my business, right? That I was contracting on the things that I did in their name, and basically set up. And that was one of the line items on the spreadsheet that I sent over. So they are aware, of your greasy, dirty shill money that you're being paid now. So
just send an email saying who's going to pay the shill.
Yeah. So if there's a problem or something, let me know, and I will definitely I will because I don't want that, because that's I mean, I feel responsible for that, so I want to make sure they take care of you.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. Like I said, I'm more just worried about TMG. They're one of my favorite publishers.
I don't think you have anything to worry about as far as them. As far as a publishing company, they will continue publishing games. I know. I mean, like, I think there's 3 new releases for Essen planned right now: Chrono Corsairs,
that was good.
Solar Draft, and Dawn of Mankind. So, and all 3 of those are very good games. So I think that big things coming. But anyway, enough about that.
And you're doing okay. You've got hot leads. We don't have to worry about you. Don't need to start.
Well, no, I mean, everybody was like, "Is there anything I can do to help?" I was like, "Well, here's my address. Just start sending $1,000 checks, and then just on a periodic basis."
To be honest, worst case, he can assemble all the shit he took home from Gen Con and live
and sell it off, pay off his house.
I didn't pick up
anything at Gen Con, and it took a fork truck to take your shit home.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
The picture on Facebook, go look at it.
That's in a private group.
Not the one with you and your daughter with the cart, was it?
That was actually a picture that Jeff at Fun Again took, because. All right, so full disclosure, I will fully admit this is a little embarrassing. So, like, I was like, oh, come on, Kabuki Kid, they didn't kick me to the curb.
Yeah, it sounds like Kabuki's trying to arrange a boycott.
Well, no. I'm going to fully say poo-poo on that idea. But no, so the amount of stuff that I had, Fun Again, who just purchased Ship Naked Logistics or whatever. So they just purchased that, and so they had a booth set up so they could you could bring stuff and you could send stuff home. And I was going to take advantage of that because I know Jeff DeBoer, who I know him pretty well, the guy who runs Fun Again. And I was like, oh, geez, it's like I got so much stuff up in my room, and I every year I say, okay, I'll bring some of this stuff down as I go, and I'll ship some of it home every day, and that way it won't be like a giant pile of stuff on the last day. But of course I didn't, and so I mentioned that to Jeff on Sunday. And I was like, either I'm going to have to, because I was staying till Monday, which I'll say this is the first time ever at Gen Con that I stayed till the Monday following Sunday. And then my plane left, later. It left at 5 or 6 o'clock on Monday evening. that was actually really, really nice. It was like this, we, Rylan and I, my daughter and I, we checked out of the room, and we you just you give them your luggage to hold on to, so you can, and then she and I just went walking around downtown Indianapolis and just, and that was actually really cool, because at one point she was like, oh, I'm really hungry, and I was like, all right, what do you want to eat? And she was like, oh, I want waffles. And I was just like, well, I don't really think we're going to be able to find waffles at like noon or something. We're walking around, and so then but then I just Googled up restaurants near me, and this thing came up, and it was like there was a burrito place, and we were hanging out at that fountain, and she wanted to feed the birds, and I was like, we can go to the burrito place, and I bet you we can get some food we can throw for the birds, and we can feed the birds. And she was excited to do that. And then we walked into this restaurant, and right next door to the other restaurant was this place called Yoke, which was like all day breakfast. And I was like, oh, well, I guess we are going to get waffles, because we can just go right in here. And so we went in there, and I had a fabulous breakfast burrito, and she got her waffles, which she was really excited about. But anyway, which was actually really nice, and we just kind of had a totally chill day. But anyway, going back to my original story, which I was talking about, we were and so Jeff was like, well, he's like, how much do you have? And I was just like, it's going to take me at least 3 or 4 trips down here to make this happen. And he was like, well, he's like, we're leaving here like at 5:30, 6 o'clock. We're gonna grab something to eat. How about if I just drive over to your hotel, and you could just bring all the stuff down, and we can throw it in the back of my minivan. And they have a warehouse like a mile and a half away from the convention center. He said, you can just drive it out there, you can pack it all up, and then I'll have the guys over there, and we'll just invoice you for the shipping, and then we'll send it home for you. And I was like, oh, sweet, super cool. So we got to go check out the warehouse, which
by
was
shipping he means get a freight truck.
And it was cool. And then since they were doing all there was all these boxes, giant boxes there, because they had been doing fulfillment stuff for all these other companies. So Rylan and I, and a couple other people that were at the warehouse, we were just kind of joking around and talking, and we just loaded up I think it was 12 or 13 boxes of stuff, and then I got my own little bin or area of the
that's called a pallet.
So they put everything on a pallet, and they moved the pallet over, and I actually had my own section. It was like section 835 of their warehouse was where my stuff was. And then a few days later, they sent me an invoice, and I paid it, and and they sent it FedEx, and I had it 2 days later. So it was pretty sweet.
Did you have over 40 games?
With expansions and stuff, yeah, easily.
Yeah.
It was pretty ridiculous. Actually.
That's a lot more than there's nothing I want.
It's funny. We all talked about this pre-Gen Con. There wasn't a lot of stuff we were interested in, and I still came home with 33 games.
Man, I feel like I didn't do anything when I came back with way more than I planned.
Kabuki Kid, just so you know, the SteamYard chapter, we're going to probably purchase the Elite Pro version of this, and I think we can have up to 10 people. Is it?
I think there's some
right now. I want Aldi to come in.
It looks like it just got. I couldn't tell if it still was capped at 6 or not because it.
I'm gonna head out and go to bed. So.
Oh.
Good night, Jim.
Well, Jimmy, thank you. It's nice seeing you, buddy.
Hi, Jim.
I'm in the castle.
Don't sleep with that.
Is Scott still in the waiting room, or?
Well, yeah, but we got both Scott, and Cheech. Hold on, let's Cheech.
Hey, what's up?
What are you laughing about?
No, just I put a stupid name. I didn't realize it was gonna pop up. I thought that was like a sign-up name. When you sign up for something, I thought it was going to have you send my email address.
You can just change your name anytime. It's fluid. So,
yeah,
my name's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's fluid like your stool.
Okay. I drink a lot of water. What do you want from me?
No, it's that Olestra. May cause loose stools.
So I got a pro and a con for Gen Con.
Well, let's hear it.
I'm excited.
So, the con for me was all the fucking force clapping at these big events. So the Renegade did the first one this year, which was like their big announcements where they announced everything, like Fantasy Flight did, and it was just super weird. Like those events, have you guys been to any of them?
Yeah,
in flight, yes.
Weird because they cover all this different shit, and nobody's there for everything. Like nobody at those is like, yeah, I love this role playing game and this Power Rangers miniatures game, and you're this game and you're that game. So nobody cares. So like a third of the crowd doesn't care about every single thing, and then nobody knows whether to clap or not. And that whole rally was just weird. So they showed off like some announcements for some big games, and they did like these videos, and they were like 2-minute videos or whatever, just piping up the game. Then the guy running the company was like, let's do that video again. And he did the video again for the first game. And so he did that later in the show too, where it was like one of the big announcements, and he's like, let's do it again. And then he ran it again. But the thing was, everybody given the huge applause because I think it was for some big IP. It was the Scott Pilgrim. They're doing a Scott Pilgrim's miniature game with pre-painted miniatures. And so after the video played the first time, everyone was like, yeah, that was great. And he got the hype. But then he did it a second time, and then everybody's like, do we give him as much hype? Because at this point, we know it's bullshit hype. It was really weird, but it annoyed me. All the clapping just added 10 minutes to that and to the Fantasy Flight in-flight report combined. So a weird con. But it was a great Gen Con, though. So...
It's funny. Rado got up and walked away, and I for a second I was looking over into Forrest's screen to see if he was going to walk through his living room. I'm just waiting for him to walk across behind Cheech as he's sitting in his chair.
Yeah, I said he could live in my basement. So,
Forrest, you actually sound a lot better. Have you changed equipment?
No.
I think it's this service. I really think it's clearer. It's got better picture quality.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Just the six player cap sucks.
Yeah, they'll get it bigger. We just gotta.
That's what she said.
Yeah. What was your other thing? You said you had a pro and a con, Cheech.
Oh, the pro is kind of like a tie. Something
pro?
to do with the game, which I think flew under a lot of people's radar, but is the new game from Lucky Duck Games they got coming out, which I think is gonna blow people's fucking minds. They pretty much took the Chronicles of Crime engine where you can have anything interact with anything else, but they turned it into a competitive role-playing game where you're all just living your lives and your destinies are going to interweave with each other. It sounds like somebody got super high and designed this game, but I think they're going to pull it off. It looks incredible. If you guys haven't seen anything on it, check it out. And I don't know what the hell the name of it is. It's a really stupid name. That's one of the big things about this game. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no. I put it on my games of interest when I heard about it.
Did you go? Oh, you didn't go. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I gotta check the I ended up doing an 8-minute interview with him.
No. Oh, go on.
Where he ran me through everything, and it was I was already just so invested in the game just with him showing me how it worked.
Time of Legends Destinies.
Yes. Tell me that is not the most generic ass name.
It is up there.
And so, but man, I think people are going to be blown away by this game. And the app integration just looks so cool. Plus, I just like the idea of competitive role playing where you're just trying to outlive your destiny over other people.
By the way, it just got quiet for a second. I turned on my overhead fans because the air conditioning's off and it's getting hot in here. Is that creating wind noise or is it okay?
It's fine.
Okay. Please continue.
Sorry, I'm responding to somebody, but yeah, go ahead. Talk amongst yourself.
So I'll do my pros and cons, and then I think I'm going to drop so somebody else can come on. So not stealing from Lance, but for me, a pro has become my son works for us at Queen, and my youngest daughter goes. So that's great for me. My youngest daughter, she's 15. This year, she was actually doing sales and talking to people, which is amazing. So that's great to see them there and have them there. That kind of adds to the con. I guess as far as the con goes, you were talking about watching the TMG people load out. We load out on Sunday, and then we drive home because it's only about a 5-hour drive. That's always negative. But I think the biggest con I'm going to list is, man, are the people the security people in Gen Con, are they the worst? They're just not nice people.
I mean, like so here's two things that bug me. So one of the things was, like, I had called and I was like, I'm going to Gen Con. I have an exhibitor badge. My daughter has an exhibitor badge. Is there going to be a problem with her being on the floor? And then so the person said to me, well, if your daughter, how old's your daughter? And I lied, and I mean, so admittedly, I lied, and I said she's 14 because I had been told that 14 is that age where then they're allowed to be on the floor. And so then there's like, okay, well, she's 14, she legally can be on the floor. That's it's like a security thing, or like a fern thing. Like, you can't, because they're driving stuff around and little kids can get run over by forklifts or things like that. And my daughter is tall for her age. She looks older than she is, and because she's 12. And I was just like, okay, so it's like 14 years old, and that was that. And I just said, if anybody asks you, you're 14. Just
Did she say you're going to lie, Father?
No. She, when I say, Grandma's going to ask you if you want to go to the lake, but you're busy. Okay, here you go. Oh, do you want to go to the lake later? Sorry, Grandma, I'm busy. Yeah, thank you. Just like, so, but no, so it's one of those things where it's like, so, and the thing is that nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. Like, we walked right in, got our exhibitor badges, walked right in. Security was like, nah, didn't care, because they don't care, right? Except for there's like the 2 or 3 people that like would say something. So at one point, like when we were in on the first day, somebody came over and said she's going to have to leave. And then I said, well, she's 14. And they're like, oh, okay, never mind then. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to like, cut her arm and count the rings, anything like that, but I remember I told her, I was
birth certificate.
Yeah. And I remember I said to her, I was like, just if somebody asks you when your birthday is, I was like, just say it's the same birthday, because her birthday is in July. And I was like, same birthday, just put 2 years off of it, So it's like, instead of 7/22/07, say 7/22/05, and they'll go, okay, fine.
Wow, you really worked on this scam with her.
Oh no, we cover our bases when we scam things. So
playing right up.
Okay, here's your cover story.
Well, no, because I mean that's the only thing that I could think of as they try to do. They try to like hit you up with that and try to stumble you up, right? So one of the reasons why I wasn't able to meet up with Travis was, as we were like last day in the Gen Con, and I was actually talking to Ted Bezier about a couple of games that he was coming on, and I was kind of BSing with him because I hadn't had a chance, and he was like, just like his crew was starting to take stuff down, and I was just talking to him really quick, and then we were heading over to go find Travis to talk about Runestones. This lady walked up, and I mean, like, admittedly, I had called the people, and she was like, she's gonna have to leave. And I said, well, she's 14. And then they said, well, she has to be 15. And I said, no, it's 14. And then she was like, are you telling me my business? I was like, no, I'm telling you that she was here the very first day. I called and talked to Gen Con about her being here, being exhibited, and everybody told me it was 14 years old, 14 years old, 14, and she just turned 14. It's 15, and you're going to have to go. Wow. And I was like, okay, so I was like, why were people telling me it's 14? And she's just like, and she's like, it doesn't matter. are you going to leave, or do I have to escort you? And I was just like, all right, whatever. So with Travis saying, and I hadn't experienced any kind of negativity from anybody there, but then all of a sudden it was just boom. It was like,
it's all coming back to you.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it either, but at the very end of the day on Sunday, people are starting to load out, and they're going around doing do you have an exhibitor badge? Do you have an exhibitor badge? And there were 2 people who worked for an adjacent booth in our booth talking to some of our people. And they came by and they said, yeah, we have exhibitor badges. We work for over there. And they said, then you need to get over there. And they were like, what do you mean? So they turned to say, okay, I'll see you guys later. And the guard was like, I mean, now it's not a debate. And it's like, come on, man, lighten up.
It's a game convention.
Yeah.
Everybody has a bad day, right?
Wow. All right, guys, I'm going to drop. Thanks for having me on.
Go back Runestones on Kickstarter, and then if you already backed it, back it again.
Absolutely. It's on there till next Friday, I think. So.
All right. Nice. Travis, it's good seeing you, and I will hopefully see you later this year at another convention.
I'll be at PAX U.
PAX U. It's like a school.
Yep, that's right.
PAX U, buddy.
The cool kid.
What's the matter, you?
It's a fun show. All right, we'll see you guys.
All right.
Bye.
Is Aldi still there?
Yeah, we'll let Clark Kent in here.
Here it is.
So,
what's going on, guys?
Let's talk.
I was just admiring our Twitter header.
What the weird orange flame?
Yeah.
How dare you sully the boom with that abomination of
that
he took his jersey off. He was so embarrassed. So he took his jersey off. It was getting warm too hot.
I was getting warm.
He took it off because he couldn't bear to have that godforsaken.
I wore it to my real job all day the other day. I wore it around. I wore the rhinestone. So, one of a kind.
Had a long conversation about that. Patrick Siebert came over tonight, and he was hanging out. We were playing games a little while ago.
The Patrick Siebert?
Patrick Siebert.
He's a reviewer.
Yeah, he's a reviewer / he did publish a game about 4 or 5 years ago.
He brought over a couple copies and beer. He brought 2 6-packs of beer.
And he's a drinker. Yeah. He's got a really cool, he's got a really weird, laconic, laid back,
he's super
totally cooler than
we all got
room
instantly.
Way cooler than Scott.
Yeah,
Patrick Siebert.
Way cooler.
Yeah. His main thing is I think it's just got played. And they almost always just get done playing the game at a bar somewhere, and then they do a live thing about it.
Yeah. I've seen a few of his episodes. It is hard filming in a bar.
It is. It's very loud.
Yes.
It would be impossible.
That's a niche.
Impossible.
That's a good niche to get on.
I'll just highlight this comment here. Just put that up there.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Here we go with Paul Tompkins.
That logo.
So
I'm being brutally honest. I've been pretty down. I'm trying to get over it, but it's super hard.
Well, so I'm going to give everybody a rock bottom that has a problem with it.
Nancy's, but did you expect it to be quite so?
No, God, no.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question. What were you expecting? What reaction?
Just that's a great way forward for the website. I mean, everybody read my my reasoning, right? No,
no one did not.
No one read my press release. I'll just tell you that right now.
Yeah, of course.
Just to say you're a piece of shit or you're shit. I don't know, whatever. Somebody said I was a piece of shit, but basically, if you could read that and basically tell me you're shit, you didn't fucking read it. That's my, Can
you post a link to where you wrote it?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I took it down.
To the top of the Board Game Geek page.
No, I took it down.
Oh, you took it down?
I don't look at the forum stuff most of the time.
It created a 76-page thread.
Yep.
So here's the thing, Scott.
I read almost all of it. Because I'm like a moth to flame.
Oh my god, you did?
You care so much.
When you read about your baby, Rado, I guess you've gotten a good about not reading negativity. Let me see if I can find it. No, but it'll be good to go on the cruise next week. Everybody can kind of forget about some of the negativity.
Scott, if it makes you feel any better, I predicted the negativity having never seen the logo just because it was changed.
So
it doesn't matter what you did. You could have come out with the most amazing artwork that had ever been known to humankind, and your audience would have bitched about it because that's what they do. It's the internet. I'll stand by that statement.
Yeah, I mean, there's bitching and then there's basically insulting.
Yes. Well,
I could
greater
do
internet dick
bitching. I
library.
can be like, yeah, why'd you change it? It really doesn't work. But when someone calls, I don't want to repeat any of the shit.
You know what? I just thought of something.
I think it'd been nice if you just went through and banned them all. They would have. But we want back.
I bet the complaints you get.
A different person would have done that.
Most websites, just because of how pretentious I think a lot of board gamers are, because most of the board gaming hobby consider themselves to be very intelligent people. And so
everybody on BGG is an expert on everything.
Yeah, I know, and that would make that would just make like the insults and everything so much worse.
Can we rephrase that, Richard? To everyone on the internet is an expert on everything.
Oh, sure, fair enough. Yep. Let's expand. Everyone on any form of social media. Yeah.
Except for MySpace. MySpace, you're cool.
That's why I stick with GeoCities, baby.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It was humbling because in their infinite wisdom, actually, it was cool because Blue Blazes / Orange Nebula, we were going to release the site updates before we went to Gen Con. But they're like, no, let's invert that because you'll have like a lot of in-person face-to-face and a lot of activity and a lot of buzz about it. And then you can come back home and release it, right? So you'd be off a high in Gen Con. And honestly, it was. Almost every single person I talked to said they really loved it. And only one negative comment. Someone told Rodney Space basically that he really didn't like it. And it was going to stop supporting the site because of that. I'm like, okay. But then he bought $150 worth of bits. So like,
who said that?
I don't know who it is.
What is he going to do?
I'm like, do you guys realize that money that when he bought those bits, they kind of support the website? Whatever. That was the only one that I heard of.
So he literally said he's not going to use the website anymore. Like that's.
Yeah, he didn't support the reasoning behind it, and that's a different. Yeah, those kind of people basically don't need to be in our world, honestly.
I would like to say this, and this has nothing to do with anything. I think you could shut down your website and never, and you could just sell your premium acrylic bits, and probably just retire off that money since you are making like
went pretty fast.
You are making the the deluxeified stuff that like a company that I used to work for. I mean, you're making that stuff look awful in comparison. What you have. So
the BGG store was rocking the whole convention.
Yeah, we never slowed down.
It was one of the busiest booths I saw. I mean, it didn't have the line.
It was our best year by far,
but it never stopped.
Just
it was amazing.
Don't break your arms patting yourself in the back, guys.
Well, I got to give myself some positive and this about.
You actually did you only have one POS running?
No, believe me, man. I was pretty down last week. I should have called one of you guys actually.
You should have. That's what we're here for.
I know. It's hard though.
Yeah, I can tell you got down because you got kind of silent the last half of the week.
Oh God, I didn't even want to wake up. I didn't want to get out of bed.
What did you guys say? Because I'm sure they're aware.
What's up?
I mean, I'm sure you talked to the Orange Nebula guys about the.
Oh yeah, I've had many conversations with them.
Yeah,
they're basically super supportive. They've talked me back off a ledge, stuff like that. So it was.
I mean, they still believe in it, right? I mean,
we all believe in it?
Yeah, is
not
kernel of truth you think has been revealed that makes you think twice about any of the choices?
Say that again, Rada.
Is there any kernel of truth amongst all the Sturm and Drang and just bullshit? Was there anything that makes you say, "Well, actually, that's a fair point. What about this or that?" Or
oh yeah, there was a lot of that. There was some things being pointed out to us that none of us had ever intended. And
so I would just like to say that
none of us ever felt like. I mean, I have a team of 20 people. Right, all looking at this stuff. No one ever once mentioned anything of what was mentioned.
KingFat44 hates everybody who plays World of Warcraft. He thinks they're truths.
God, I can't believe all the people going back to World of Warcraft. Yeah.
Oh, everybody's like, everybody has this. Not to change subject, but everybody's got this like rose-colored glasses idea of like, oh, wow, classic. It's going to be amazing. No, it won't. You'll go back to it. You'll remember. You'll remember like. Because like
I've played all these freaking quests
Oh
10
yeah,
times already.
You'll be like,
Screw
oh
this.
my god, I can't believe this isn't being spoon fed to me like all the games I play now. There's a reason why I got left behind.
I'm sorry. WoW Classic did spoon feed you.
Or is this just the subtitle of the show from now on?
When compared to EverQuest, yes, it did spoon feed.
I was an EQ player.
The People Are Turds has been on the screen for 2 minutes now.
Well, yeah, but I like that.
That just stays. That's not going anywhere.
I mean,
While people are turds.
That is the from now on.
Well, here's something positive. BGG works fine on my phone.
Well, there's still some things that are not mobile friendly right now, for sure.
Yeah, which you knew. I mean,
we know this, and finally, we've been putting it off, right? Like, there's a new front page coming, by the way. Holy shit! I'm gonna have to leave town. That's if people thought the logo was drastic. Oh my god!
Well, don't leave town before our meeting.
I'm gonna be like, see you guys later.
Well, here's your post.
Go to Vegas.
Welcome to the new look. If you have comments, deposit them here.
Hey everybody, it's Maui Chris.
This is cool. This is real neat right here.
Cool that you can pick comments out of the chat. That's awesome.
Yeah, and only I can. That's the best part.
So the new front page is mobile built first,
right?
And it works great. And we have some great ideas for it. That's not done, but we are going back, and we were always being like, well, why should we go back and fix the old stuff if we're just going to have new stuff? But the old stuff, the new stuff's taking so long to make. We gotta go fix the old stuff. So me and Kyle, we're kind of guerrilla team, are doing it, and we finished the front page today. He's working on a couple tweaks and stuff, but basically it's done. The front page works on fun.
You're done.
And then the next thing is the forums, which I imagine will be even faster to fix.
As I recall, when you first had the game pages and you were working those up, didn't you have some kind of like secret invite only preview?
Beta. Yeah, we did a beta launch.
Can I sign up for that?
Sure, but we probably won't. Yeah, I mean, I guess we would have one for the front page. We probably will, because that's a big deal. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that. When that'll probably come out pretty soon.
God, you're such a suck up, Rado.
I'm excited. It's my favorite thing. I like new things.
The front page,
Rado actually uses board.
Not even close to the content of the content numbers of the old front page.
How do you mean?
Like it's a very slimmed down front page. Like
which
very,
is
very
going to be another revolt.
But I mean, I have a lot of ideas to make it more like rich, I guess is the word. I don't know.
Yeah.
But those require algorithms. Like it'll be persona, right? It'll be your personal sort of feed that will just keep filling. Like an endless kind of, like Facebook.
Yep. The infinite scroll.
And see shit. I have all kinds of ideas. We're just trying to get the basics done first.
Cool. You don't want to commit to anything, but you sound like you're pretty close.
I don't know, man.
Go to your cruise and play some games.
We have basically 2 programmers. We have 3. Chaz does not work on the front page. Chaz works on the pre-order system.
Okay.
Me, I work on everything. Dan is working on the front page. So really, it's me plus Dan. Half of me, maybe even less, because I'm, the company business takes so much work now these days. Like I'm constantly talking to people, which means less and less time to program. Plus, Dan's got it all under control. It's just, I would probably slow him down if I jumped into it. Yeah, I mean, Mythical Man Month crap. But it's exciting stuff. I mean, I think it'll be great. I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of angry people, though.
Oh, yeah, because...
So we're leaving the old page in place, so you can go to that as a page, but it's not the homepage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We're preserving it, because we know people want all that
indefinitely, or?
Yeah, until we can redo it. Now, it will be mobile friendly, because as of today, we were like 90% there.
Wow.
So
there will be BoardGameGeek.com/classic or something.
We internally we call it Geek Central.
Okay.
So it'll probably be like /
Remember, WoW people are turds.
Well, that's fantastic. Then you just completely cut them off. Now, but the first thing they're going to ask is,
how do I make that my default?
Can you put Ernie back on?
No, Ernie's gone, man. Ernie ain't never coming back.
You took him back behind the shed.
It's that unbending mentality that will be your downfall.
Really? Do you think that's the case?
No, not at
What
all.
would you think?
I was just trying to be funny there,
Yeah.
and you took me seriously.
Oh, okay.
Here, hold on.
Has a sense of humor for it.
Did I tell you guys the story of that? I think.
No.
So, in the late '90s, I had a website called 3dgamegeek.com.
Okay.
It was all three. It was since I worked in 3D graphics and 3D gaming. It was like a news site only for that. It's like it was a community driven news generator for games. And it had a great start, but then people just got tired of it, right? Like the community never got what's it called? Critical mass. So it was like the same 5 guys posting stuff all the time, and no one else would post. So then I basically just shut it down. And we had a logo for it, which was Ernie. And I think I've shown that to you guys before. Let me see if I can find it. I think I saved it to my desktop.
Well, hey there, $86 million man.
Yeah.
Since your redesign, $85 million man.
Sweet.
So yeah,
I knew it.
You lost $1 million.
Oh shit! I thought it was 70.
No, you were at 86, and now you're at 85.
Made 10 million.
Dude, you lost $1 million. Change him back. Put Ernie back. I guarantee you $1 million.
Just the English version of classic Coke.
Yeah.
You just did this to drive up more enthusiasm.
Yeah. We no, our what's it called? Traffic was off the hook that day.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, it was like double. I can't find it. Damn it.
Did you take a shower in the nerd tears? Just like, oh.
You know me, Lance. I want to make everybody happy.
Yeah, well, as Bill Cosby said, the surest way to failure is to try to please everyone. And putting things in women's drinks is never a good idea.
I was going to say, roofie the ones that you can.
Yeah, he said a few things.
Yeah.
I can't find it. Anyway, it was like a little scraggly geek guy.
Oh, I think Paul Thompson had the perfect idea.
Paul Thompson.
I think Keith said it best earlier when he said, in about a month, no one's going to give a damn.
Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to care. And then Keith actually said it best before, where he said nobody went to the website to look at the logo.
No. I mean, we dressed that fucker up in so many costumes, and no one ever said anything. Like, I never got a cool logo. I know no one, zero.
Yeah, I think you should do that. Just shut it down for 3 days, and just say we'll have a moment of silence. Nobody can look up any information about Board Game Geek for 48 hours. The rabble has won. You have spoken.
If you see how people lose their mind when the geek goes down for 30 minutes, take it down for 30 minutes with their nitty gritty stuff.
I remember when it went down, and I sent Scott a message. I was like, "Hey, your stupid website's down," and he was like, "Yeah, fire that guy who runs the place."
Well, it's so people are taking it for granted now, because I can't remember the last time I tried to go to the Geek and got the Geek is Down backup site thing. I remember we used to get that frequently.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
we had one the other day. Actually, someone was sort of overflowing us, so we had to fix something.
I haven't seen that for so long, and people would lose their shit when they'd run into that. I can't look up my game for 10 minutes. 30 minutes of R.I.P. Ernie.
Do you remember the days of the Sunday night backup for an hour?
Yeah. Oh, God.
What if you could?
People want to kill me.
I would wait when I was down if I had like a hot review, like a brand new one, and I would just click refresh while watching like Amazon Prime and the other screen, just hoping it would pop up so I could post a review before I went to sleep at night.
Scott, what if you went to that giant stupid thread where everybody's complaining about the logo, find the really the real big jerks, the people that also emailed you, get their usernames and put something in the code to permanently make the pages load slow for those people. just to train them out, like just to train them out, like because that's what we used to do. Like at my old job at the bank, like if we had an employee that just sucked, but you didn't want to fire him, you wanted to just convince them to go work for someplace else.
Oh my
you
God.
just make you'd make it so miserable for them to work that they'd eventually just quit. It was called training them out, and you would just and until they got to a point where they just like, I can't handle working here anymore. They'd either change to be the employee you wanted, or they would just go find another job with somebody else, and then they weren't your problem anymore. So you just get those people's IPs and make them just almost unnoticeable, just like an extra like 0.9 seconds each time they try to. And all my other pages, they load perfectly. This whole redesign, and everybody else would be like, it's loading just fine for me. It's like
See, you're way nicer than me.
Scott Alden, I think down with net neutrality. Definitely. I think you nailed it.
I think I just go in and set all their avatar and all their micro badges to the new logo and hardcore train them and lock them. Like once you're used to it and quit crying like a bitch, you can have your ability to change your avatar.
Imagine if there were consequences to what you said online. Yeah, imagine a world.
Imagine.
I bet people would be a whole lot fucking nicer online.
Well, yeah, because when I was a kid, if you went up and called somebody a name to their face, after you got up off the ground and wiped the blood off your lip, you'd watch your mouth.
Yeah.
The internet takes that fear away.
Yeah, for sure.
You get your mouth popped once, popping off, and you'll stop.
Happened to me a few times.
Yeah, it happened to me too.
Shut up.
You get a fat lip to go with that fat nose of yours?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I had a smart mouth, and I learned when I could use it and when I couldn't.
I can't find that logo. Anyway, so it was a Scraggly Geek logo. Actually, it might be in the Wayback Machine. Whatever. So I worked at 3D Realms when BGG was launched, right? And so we had the logo for like a year. And I worked with a really talented artist named Paul Richards, who's a comic book guy, and he was a concept artist, and he was just amazing. And I gave him the logo and I said, hey, do you think you could like fix this or modernize it or do something with it? And literally overnight, he brought back the next day, and I wish I could find it, the original. He drew it in ink, inked it and penned or inked it, colored it overnight. Like, wow, blew me away. And so that was the logo. And I gave him a copy of Catan. And then he was like, oh my God, it's the greatest game ever. I'm really happy you gave it to me. Him and his wife played it constantly.
I picked up a Lego Rancor at Gen Con.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and you can put a Lego minifig in both of his hands. This Rancor has like so much articulation. Like the hands have claws, the mouth actually clicks open and close.
Do you feel like Lance was really listening to you well there?
No, he didn't listen.
No, I listened to what you had to say. It was cool. But without the logo, without being able to see the logo,
I'm gonna show busy focusing on his articulation and open mouth Rancor. Bomb chicka wow.
Come on, this guy's awesome.
We can't see you because you're in a little tiny window.
Oh, here, hold
on. I found it, guys. I found it.
Hey, yeah.
So now we can see Lance's Rancor.
That is pretty.
I want to see all these images more than your Rancor.
Let me show you guys the old one.
All right, let's see Scott again.
You guys want to see the amazingness of Board Game Geek from 2000?
Yeah.
You just lose.
You might have to like
change. Oh, I don't know what happened, Mike Honcho.
Can you add my screen to the stream, or is that not possible?
You can.
I can do
it. You should have a share screen at the bottom.
Yeah, there's a share screen at the bottom.
It is, but
the
screen is like, I think Lance has to allow to add it.
What?
All I see is myself right now.
Yeah, well then there's a button. There should be a button on the bottom of yours that says share screen.
Yeah.
It is sharing. Do you see it in the green room though?
No.
Oh wait, all these screen. There we go.
There it is.
Oh, hey, look, we're still in there. That's cool.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh, I really like that old logo.
That logo is fucking the bomb, isn't it?
That's really cool.
Looks like he should be on the show Rugrats.
Man, this is gonna be awesome
like
for
Dilbert.
the preview.
You know what? I think if that was still the logo and you gave the same explanation, there would be slightly less outcry. Because that is like a super
isn't this great?
picture of a white nerdy guy.
That's not a guy. You're assuming.
I am.
Yeah. Way to go.
User submitted board games are active.
So yeah,
this is great. In an effort to make our database as complete as possible, we've built a process to enable you, the user, to submit games to the database. If you'd like to add a game to the database, then click here. Forums have opened July 9, 2000.
Derek Solko. Who's that?
I don't know.
Ah.
Spiel des Jahres shortlist. Careless Magnus was on the shortlist. Wow.
But was that down a little bit more about top 10s?
That's really cool.
Top 10's fixed.
What are top 10s? What's
I
that?
don't know. I forget. God, I have no recollection.
Where's the top 10 functionality?
I have no recollection of this.
The top 10 function, that'd be cool.
I think it was from the description there. It sounds like that was the top 10 was like. By
the way,
like
powered by
Blogger.
Whoa! What if on BGG there was a section that spotlighted the top 10 videos for the day, like based on thumbs, and the top 10 like forum spots for the day? That'd be cool.
And like, you rated you could sort titles by the guy that worked on the card.
Here's the database back in 2000. 3,049.
Wow, that's
one good
like
year.
4-player chess.
It's an Essen.
I'm always amazed. 4-player chess always sells out at Gen Con. Like, that boggles my mind every damn time. Like, I go by there Sunday every year since I started going there, and they're always sold out of 4-player chess.
You guys remember this? Hey, there's the files. There's the previews. Reviews, session reports.
All those reviews from Greg Schlosser, and he doesn't do it anymore.
So prolific, man. He was really played. He played.
Oh, that guy wrote so many good reviews.
15 fucking session reports. Well, more than that, his name is everywhere.
And he doesn't do anything anymore, from what I understand.
Yeah, he still plays games. He just sort of dropped out of the publishing. Oh, so great. I think people, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Hey, the Board Game Geek fundraiser. Look at that.
Man, look at that money.
Oh, our goal of $5,000.
135 contributors. It's great. This is so fun.
Oh, that reminds me. I gotta get my 2019 badge yet.
Those were the days.
I didn't know that Wayback Machine archives so much.
Hey, Keith, you gonna let me sleep in your room at Board Game Geek?
I gotta check with my roommates.
Oh, God dang it! Why haven't you checked already?
Well, find your new job and then stay with them.
Yeah, why don't you just stay with them?
So yeah, there's the original drawing I got from Paul, a trifold checkerboard, because he didn't really know games. Mm-hmm. And a Monopoly board, and there's a Monopoly house there. Dice.
Nailed it.
Now that's a logo.
Yeah. I don't know what you're thinking about. That's the logo.
How can that not be the logo forever? I mean, that's awesome.
Forever and ever.
That just says I'm running away from all these shitty games.
Yeah.
7 people want to sell Cosmic Encounter. I wonder how much it's worth. Most available for sale. I want that. I want a most available for sale list on the new.
What does it mean that I want to sell Magic the Gathering?
Why would you care what the most available game is?
I'm obviously being sarcastic.
Actually, you know what? I think that would be a good barometer of how much you're.
Oh, Cheech, relax.
No, if you were like, "Am I going to get this game?" And then you see like 460 of them for sale. You're like, "Wait, maybe this game sucks." Like, think about it like that. If the game's that bad, it has that many copies on there that people aren't buying it. Like, that could really show you that a game's not worth getting.
All these sweet top 10s.
I know. It's awesome.
Yeah, bring back top 10s.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
Bring them back.
Yeah,
bring them
I
back.
think people would love a top 10 page.
Do you guys want a top 10 where all you're going to see is Dice Tower? I mean, come on.
Yes.
Yes, because every once in a while, boy.
Because I don't think you support them enough.
Remember La Cheetah?
I remember La Cheetah.
Great game.
I'm going to support them at their next convention with penicillin shots.
Man, this is so crazy to read.
If it's some weird old Euro or a word game, Scott Alden loves it.
Yep.
In the Italian country, I was reading it and then you clicked on dick.
100,000 hits just this month.
Stream.
100,000.
Hey, which of you told me to buy Detective City of Angels?
I did.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I liked it. I played it tonight.
I was also very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, that game's super cool. I played the chisel. I didn't win because the first case is balls easy
you just
for
run
the
people through
detectives, but that game was cool.
Did you enjoy the mind games and the staring them down and them not knowing if you're lying or not?
Well, see, the first case, it's too obvious if you're lying or not, I think. In the first case, they have no reason not to challenge you every time because there's not enough penalty. Because there's usually only one or two choices. But after that, I think they'll learn their lesson for challenging everything.
You'll get them.
As they get screwed with. But that was pretty cool.
I played a ton of stuff. I played Black Angel.
Yeah.
Played King's Dilemma.
How is that? Because I've got that one coming to me. Friend took it home for me.
It's really interesting. So you want to show you sort of what I don't think it's a spoiler because every envelope you open has one story card and a bunch of dilemmas.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dilemmas that you have all get shuffled up and you draw one per turn, right? And you have two outcomes to each dilemma, right? A yay and a nay. And the nay will do something to a track and the yay will do something to it. And you basically have secret goals. And so let's say you need all of the tokens, all of the, what are they called? Like prosperity and wealth and army and food, like all up the top of the track, or maybe all at the bottom, or you want them diverse, you want them to be at the top and the bottom, or you want them all in the middle, right? So you each have a secret goal each turn. And so you're trying to get all those, it's sort of a numbers game, right? You're trying to get those tokens to stay where you want them. And you vote with power. And if you don't vote, you get power from the previous vote. So it's a closed economy, like what's that Ryan Arkinitsi game with the movies? You guys remember that one?
Hollywood? I don't
know.
When you got to hire the actors and the crew and everything?
Traumfabrik. You know, if you drop out of the auction, you get to take what, you know, if you pass, you can take the power, right? Something like that. Or you pay in this one, you would pay the person, so it's all the money stays in the economy. This one, all the money goes to the central board. And if you drop from a bid, you take the power. You share the power. So that's it. Over and over again. 5 or 6 times until the king abdicates or he dies. And that's a game. And at the end of the game, you score prestige if you've done certain things. And it's basically just fill in the circles of how much prestige you get or how much. They call it crave. I don't know why.
Sponsored by White Castle.
Prestige and crave. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you're basically just discussing, like, do we all want to support this, or are we all against it? Now, there are also long-term goals, long-term changes based on the vote. So if you vote to go, like, save the slaves, like free the slaves, the game branches from that point, right? So you've saved the slave, but so you've pissed off all the merchants, right, that had the slaves, and that brings up a whole new set of dilemmas. And I'm guessing if you didn't free the slaves, that would bring up a whole nother set of dilemmas. So that's really cool. It's a story. It's a persistent world, like based on the big decisions you make. That's cool. Now, all the dilemmas from the decisions you just made don't always come out, right? Because it's shuffled into all the other dilemmas you have. So, like, dilemmas from game 1 may never show up because of the way the shuffle works. But it's really cool, and it's way more fantasy than I thought. There's all kinds of weird fantasy stuff going on now. Now that's how I should shut up. There are also envelopes with big rule changes, and we've seen one of them. And there are also, I think there's 6 or 8 or 9 big, giant, hidden stickers that when you unlock all of those, the game is over. Like forever, right? You finished it. We have not unlocked any of those yet. And we played 4 games.
Well, it sounds like you liked it if you played 4 games already.
Envelopes in 4 games. So you
How
open.
long does a game take?
could be very fast, because if the king abdicates, meaning you've raised the economy so much that you just fly off the end of this track, king basically retires, or the king retires in disgrace if you go negative. So it's a battle between going positive and going negative. So the more you're kind of going both directions, the longer the game will go, because you play a minimum of 6 turns, and then the king could die in the last 3 turns. Like there's skulls on the card. Like if a dilemma comes out and has a skull in it on the last 3 rounds of the game, you'll die. So it's unpredictable when the game will end. So we played one game that took like 30 minutes, one game that took like an hour.
So is everyone trying to keep the king alive or not?
Sometimes you want the king to just die and go, because you if all of your tokens, it's basically like a stock market, right? There's all these tokens sliding around on the board, right? High positive or or low negative. And if they're in the positions where you want them to be at the end of the game, you want the game to end, because if they start moving around, you basically start losing your position. So one game, I had all my tokens in the right spot, and I was basically trying to get the game to end, which means he will abdicate.
Cool.
And that worked. Of course, I ended up losing that game, but whatever. You always score something. Even if you're in last place, you score something. Like, in fact, I think you score more if you're in last. Like, being in third is bad out of 4 players. And I don't know if it works for 2. Does it support 2, Richard? Have you looked into it?
Not.
It doesn't?
Nope. 3-player minimum.
Yeah, because it's ostensibly a bidding game. You're bidding your power to get what you want done. We're gonna play it again Saturday to try to. I want to see more content. Like the one rule change was very cool. I want to see more of that. Need more variety. Also got Manchi Core Legacy on deck.
I'll be interested to hear about that one. I was thinking about picking that one up.
I heard you can finish that in a day.
Manchi Core Legacy?
Yeah.
And that's pretty fast for a legacy game.
Yeah, it's 6 to 8 hours basically.
Yeah. I saw.
I'm fine.
I'm going to watch this video that I have access to later of the Clank Legacy to see how that looks.
Finally out now.
It's not out yet, but there's a video or in preview for supporters of a certain channel. So I'll check it out. But I saw the price tag. It's 100 bills for a legacy game. I'm like, oh,
that's
what do I think of that? Right? That's a lot of money for a game that might end.
How much was Charterstone?
It's like 60.
How much was Queensdale?
It was like $80.
Yeah, that one probably was 80.
I think Queensdale is still my favorite legacy game of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, although Pandemic Season 1 was amazing, but I really liked the game part of Queensdale. It was just fun.
Yeah.
Making your dice customized.
No, I haven't played it at all, but I've heard good things.
Jen and I have played the first 3 games of Clank Legacy, and you play 10 total, and then the story's over, and you've got your own customized version of Clank.
So you can keep playing your game afterwards. Okay.
Yeah. It says that right up front. That's
okay. So I got a question for you, Richard. Do you think it's going to be like a Charterstone game where it's like, we're never playing this shit again? Or is it actually going to be like a Clank to be like, oh yeah, it's going to be a fun game of Clank?
It's basically, I've only played 3, so I don't know how far it's going to go, but it is basically Clank with story-driven objectives. And it's constantly throwing new ones in at you. I don't know what all they're going to upgrade, but it's the core Clank. And I don't. I'm 3 of the 10 games in. I could tell you the stuff, and I can. There's definitely new, interesting stuff that's getting added to the formula, but the Clank formula isn't changing at all. The one thing I will say,
it'll still be horrible.
The other thing I will say, it's odd. The Clank is a race game, and it's unique in that players are incentivized to get out first, and hopefully nobody else will make it out, and the big 20 bonus points, and they won't, and that can be a path to victory. Although everybody thinks it's easy to do, that's actually very hard to successfully do. But because of that, Clank generally, in my experience, is a fairly short game. This game, the board is significantly bigger, or as it grows. It starts off smaller, but it grows as you explore more and more of the world. Because it's not all underground; it's actually an overworld map. And then the other side of the board, which I won't say anything about, is more like the original Clank. But it expands; it gets bigger and bigger. But every time you play, you get it. We have at times had like 6 or 7 objectives live that we could, in addition to just trying to get the artifact and getting out. Oh, but if I go over there to the other side of the forest, I'll be able to pick this thing up, and that'll probably open up 2 more quests. And it's just really overloading us with them. And as a result, we find we're not rushing back, and the race element of the game is gone. And I mean, because I have never played a session of Clank that lasts as long as the ones we're playing now, because we're, well, okay, I got to go over there, and finish that particular quest. And so it really does change the feel. And I have no idea at this point if once it's over, if that will stay the same, or if, oh, well, you've unlocked all the content and now it's just a version of Clank with a different map. Because they put out like 6 or 7 Clank maps now, and they always introduce new little tweaks. This one has several big tweaks, which I won't say because they're drip fed throughout the course of the game, the new features that get turned on. But we liked Clank, and we're really enjoying this. And yeah.
What's the fun factor? I mean, are you like excited to see the new stuff, or is it just?
Yeah. Well, one, this is dangerous for me to say because I don't want to set up expectations that it won't live up to. But it's funny. It comes with it's Clank with all this objective-driven gameplay with lots of stickers, tons of stickers. You sticker all over everything, and then it comes with a big old storybook.
Okay.
Paragraphs. So these quests are all okay. Let's read this particular chapter. Let's make this choice that will do this or that or the other thing as we deal with a lot of stuff that keeps coming up. But it's been, Jen and I have literally laughed out loud. It's not actually, it's co-written by what's his name? Jerry Holskins. Or he's listed as a contributing writer or like an editor or something like that. And we laughed out loud several times. The whole conceit of Acquisitions Incorporated, which I knew nothing about. I guess it's like a really popular.
It's a live play D&D thing.
Yeah, it's integrated really well, and it's really been entertaining just for that. Often in these games, we go through them, we read them, and we're intrigued. But I mean, the fact that we're laughing, that we're finding it funny, that I'm inclined to read them in a more bombastic and energetic voice because it's just really well written. And writing comedy is really, really hard.
Are there characters in there like Jim Dark Magic and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
Jim Dark. Well, I don't want to say anything, but yes. Here,
Acquisition Incorporated,
and love are going to be showing up in the ways you would expect. And maybe in some other ways too. The flavor text on the Clank has always been cute. Certainly Clank in Space.
Yeah, it's like comedy fantasy.
Yeah. And it's always been kind of cute and all that, and kind of like, oh, that's clever. But I mean, now we have literally laughed out loud several times. I mean, as Keith watches my video, he'll see Jen and I were genuinely laughing as we were playing. Not just at the funny situation we got in, but reading the text out loud. Yeah, but still, you gotta like Clank. And if this isn't going to turn anybody into a fan of Clank, but existing fans of Clank, I think, will be very, very excited. And so far, I've got 2 caveats. One, I don't know, maybe it's just our group think, but the games are taking longer than I feel like Clank maybe should, because we want to get everything before we move on. Because the whole thing is, if you don't complete a quest, you'll just keep it. It'll be in the next game. And so you can build up, and it's just whichever ones you focus on, because of course Clank is supposed to be get in and get out. That's the nature of it. The other thing is, I mentioned the stickers. Oh my God, so many stickers. OCD people are going to freak over this. Just trying to get all the stickers lined up perfectly, because I don't know if anybody played Pandemic Season 2 all the way through, had a lot of board stickering. That is nothing compared to this.
Wow.
Have you played Queensdale?
Oh, yeah, no, it destroys Queensdale in the amount of stickers you apply over the course of this game.
That excites me. I love it.
Yeah, I like that because I want the legacy game to, if I'm going to be having something that evolves and changes permanently, I want it to keep going all the time and constantly in a lot of ways. Well, Charterstone kind of petered out after about 6 games.
Well, I'm only 3 in. This might peter as well, but so far it's doing big things every single time. And there's a lot of character. It isn't cold and antiseptic like like other ones. I mean, these are characters. They have funny dialogue. You get to know who they are. It's much more integrated. The story and character is much better integrated than other ones.
Do you play a character or do you play yourself?
If you remember Pandemic Season 1, nothing pretty much happens during the games other than you play the game. And then between games, a bunch of stuff changes. You unlock things and all that. This game, you are constantly unlocking stuff during play. At least so far in the first 3 missions. And, so we'll get to a story, and it's like, Jesus Christ, that's like 3 paragraphs of stuff we have to do now. And you're halfway through your turn. You still have 2 boots. And we have to do all this stuff first. And, that's another thing that I guess is contributing to the length of the game. Because they do actually a fair bit of change between the games, too, but so much stuff happens during.
That's cool.
In fact, I mean, if you watch my video, Keith, near the end, like one of the last things that happens in that video, I think I mention it, but we do some other stuff, and then we forget. There have been a couple of times where, like, fuck, weren't we supposed to have drawn another card out of the card box, which is kind of a Charterstone? There's like a big, thick box of cards. They're all numbered, so you just are pulling them out all over the place. And it turns out I did completely forget one. And so the second mission had a really big problem, and nobody's playing the game, so I just wrote the designer directly to ask him, and he said, "Oh yeah, you completely missed this one card you were supposed to pull out." And I went back and look, yeah, there it is. It says right there, but I just totally missed it because it happened in the middle of a turn. I was really focusing on trying to win the game. I'm like, I gotta do all these stickers and whatnot, and I missed a part. So, as of the third game, we are actually bringing in remind aids to say, okay, when we open up and it's like entry 147 or whatnot, we put a little post-it note on there so that, okay, we've done it all and it's next turn. Okay, I'm going to go back and just to make sure I did everything because it's just drowning you in stuff. It's only 10 missions, but so far, if it keeps up like this, it has 20 missions worth of stuff. They just crammed into 10 legacy style missions. But I don't know, maybe it'll slow down after they turn everything on.
How long did the game last?
The first one, the one I filmed in part, was like a regular Clank length game. I mean, if I hadn't been doing so much explaining to the camera, it would have been 40 minutes or something like that.
Right.
But of course, I take longer because I articulate and whatnot. But the second game and the third game, the second game was overly long because of the mistake I made. There was one card I didn't get that was supposed to open a door. And without that door being opened, we were kind of, we're fucking stuck. We have to deal with this other thing. When in fact, there's supposed to be a door that lets you go around that thing. And we just didn't open that other door. That game was kind of painful and a very odd thing, but that was totally my fault for missing a card. The one we just played today, we're trying to play it once a day. It was again, and it's just us playing. It was like must have been 90 minutes, almost 2 hours. And it's because we just stayed at any given time. We could have ended it. We could have rushed back and tried to trigger the end game. But we're like, another 2 quests just opened up. Okay, let's go check those out.
So you kind of get like, I'll call it the Diablo effect to me, which is I really need to quit. It's time to go to bed, but I'm just going to finish this level. Well, I'm just going to see what's on the next level. Oh, well, I'm halfway done with this level. I just need to finish this level. And you just keep getting that because you want to see more and more goodies.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's because, I've walked, I've used my boots to walk all the way across this board, and I'm going to have to walk to get back out. But since I'm down here, I got to take care of everything before I leave, kind of a thing.
I mean, if a game compels you to keep playing and exploring, to me, that's a good sign.
It's not a complaint. It's just that I know what Clank. I mean, I've played a fair bit of Clank, and I'm familiar with it. And this ends up feeling different. We are getting scores higher than we have ever gotten, and it is still basic Clank. It's just that normally you don't stay in the level this long.
Well, it makes me wonder: are you going to consume all the legacy content too fast because
it could very well be? It could very well be because what was it? There was another game that had this kind of weird thing where you could focus on the story. Oh, it's Ryan Lockett's Near and Far. I remember the no pun included. They complained about how you'll never actually spend these resources to try to win the game because instead you'll just keep spending the resources to read more story content. It's like, if you play it that way, that's wrong. You're supposed to still try to win, and and there's like a tough tension between I want to read the story or I want to actually win the session I'm playing. It feels like this has it too, but we're both just kind of live and let live, and we're like, okay, well, I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to rush you. I'm not going to try and bury you because I want to see what happens when you go to that castle too.
Yeah, I suffer from that in every legacy type game I've played. I end up being like, I want to progress story. To hell, I don't give a crap about my score. I want to see what's happening.
Yeah.
I want to change stuff. Fortunately, with Charterstone, I score doing that.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It's interesting because even with I don't know if Clank is like this, but when I play these games, I want to see all the content.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact we're not seeing all the content in King's Dilemma because of the branching story.
Right.
Like, okay, well, we saved the slaves, so we don't get to see the half of the world that changed when it, because that could branch off itself.
Yep.
And also there are like 10 houses in King's Dilemma, and you're playing one house, right? Like it's sort of Game of Thrones house, right? You have a legacy, you have a history, you have secret goals, you have secret powers.
It's not resettable,
and like you can't play. It's 10 of them in the box, and we're playing 4 out of 10, and I'm like, I probably won't play it again to see that other stuff.
Well, you probably can't, right? Because
it's tons of stickers and it's tons of cards that are getting put into the game.
I mean, isn't that, to me, that's a strength of a legacy game, that it,
because
of the permanence, because you can't change, because you can't just reload your save game and rewind or set everything back. It means everything is powerful and meaningful. It's kind of like the argument that people make for, our own humanity is enhanced by our mortality, and therefore we appreciate life so much more because it's fleeting. That's a common fantasy sci-fi trope, that the gods don't understand how great life can be because they don't live like we mere mortals. It's the same kind of thing in a legacy game. I mean, if you could see everything, then it's kind of meaningless. Your choices are meaningful when you cut yourself off, and then you can always just open all the.
I guess after the fact that you can just open it all. Like we opened all the Queensdale stuff after the fact because
totally.
You miss about half of Queensdale. You don't open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Clank's going to be
my OCD.
There's a lot of, well, you could do this or this, and we go back after we made our choice and we look at the other one. Okay, well, we would have still gotten to the same place. Yeah. It's just that we would have read some different story snippets and changed some different stats, but we still end up putting this sticker on the board because that's the way. I mean, it does feel more like the original Pandemic Legacy in that, okay, no, there is a specific order these things are going to happen. There is
you're not changing the fact that event X happens. Yeah. Interesting.
Good night, gentlemen. It's 1 a.m. here.
Yeah, I've got about 15 minutes battery left.
Pete, I saw the Tablaroo. Is it Tablaroo?
Tabaroo
demo. I'm excited for that stuff, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I am too. I think it'll be pretty cool. But as long as we keep putting content out for it, I think it'll be pretty cool. It's one of those things you're gonna have a lot of specific stuff designed specifically for it. So we just have to do a good job of keeping.
Now you're leaving, and I want to ask you a million questions about it.
Well,
I might be able to answer them. I
was to say I don't know a whole lot more than the people that got to play it because we didn't find out about it until the week before Gen Con. So
oh wow,
it was a lot. It was a big secret until the actual press announcement. So I got like a 20-minute briefing, which is basically everything that all the people that demoed it got to hear as well. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty cool console. We're looking at licensing out other companies' games on it, so it won't just be ours.
Keeping it to yourselves because there's definitely some games in the world right now that could be big time.
That's my number one curiosity. So
price point's going to be inexpensive.
It is an open license platform. Mm-hmm. Do you develop for them? If Fantasy Flight comes to you and says, "Okay, we want to do whatever their next mini, or we want Imperial Assault to be on this system," is it an SDK that you give to them, or do you develop for them, or do you know?
That I don't know. I just know that they're willing to license out the system, and I don't know if there is something we oversee or if it's something the company does and we have to approve. But yeah, there's a process for it. I just don't know. I wasn't involved in any of the discussions about how that
an SDK would eventually come out, but not open source, right? It would be like you have to license it from them.
Mm-hmm. I believe that's how it's going to be, but I don't know for sure. Like I said, a lot of it's still on there. I just know that they are definitely going to be licensing this out, so it won't just be our stuff. There'll be stuff from other companies, and I know that they have plans to really push this medium forward because it's got some pretty cool aspects to it. I think it's going to do well. It just, again, it needs to have a robust library because if it's just the Zombicide Vegas game, which is the one that comes bundled with the system, it's a good starting point, but we'll have to continually put out more stuff for it. but it'll be inexpensive. And from what I was told, the games that are compatible for this will be the same SRP as the regular board game. So you're getting all the technology basically at no extra cost. So if you buy Zombicide Vegas, for instance, the Taboo version, it's going to be the same price point as the regular version. You're just going to get the chips included to be able to run it on Taboo. Same with any other future games that they put out. So,
okay, last question, which you won't be able to answer. Tell me about Project Elite.
There's nothing I can't talk about Project Elite. It's just it's a reprinting of the original game.
I mean, but Project Tabor implementation of Project Elite. I mean,
if it's going to be on Taboo,
benefit from it, because there's so much that goes on.
I don't know. I've not been given privy to the lineup. All I know is the Zombicide Vegas that we announced. So Zombicide Vegas, Las Vegas is going to be a 15 mission standalone Zombicide game, and it's going to be the launch title. I do know of another game in the works that I'm not allowed to talk about. Other than that, I can't. There's nothing else that we're allowed to talk about.
It's Wacky Racers.
But no, there will be at least the one game guaranteed, and then pretty sure there's going to be another one, and then whatever else we can work out between now and when the Kickstarter launches next year. So,
okay,
not a whole lot more I can give, unfortunately. It's again, it's all still new information. I'm sure we'll be making announcements at Essen and at the end of the year and leading up to the Kickstarter. I'm sure there'll be more announcements of cool things to go. So you won't have to wait too long.
Project. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's going to be on Kickstarter in 2020 and coming out in 2021. So that was the one at Gen Con was a very early alpha of the system, and I think it ran pretty well considering it was an alpha.
I sat through the whole thing.
Yeah, and you didn't have any major problems or issues.
They had one dice battery go dead, but that was not a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Cool. No, that's
the dice being activated too is really awesome. Like you don't even have to type in the numbers. The dice are basically part of the system.
Yeah,
sense is what gets rolled.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool.
Yeah, the biggest feedback we got from it was that unlike other app-oriented games where you feel like the board game part is inconsequential, you could basically play the game on the app. This makes you feel more connected to the board game than the app, and the app is just there for atmosphere.
It's all about immersion, right? The fact that they weren't counting up pips, and it was just say, "Oh, you killed 2 zombies," and they just take them off the board. Like it super streamlines the game.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good app implemented games, but there's a few of them where you don't need the board game. You could just play it on the app and it would probably play just as good. This one actually makes you feel like you're playing a board game that has digital enhancements, not the other way around. So,
well, also everybody has their own control panel on their phone, right? Like all your weapons and your powers are all on your phone, and you get to tap them and it does stuff. Really, I mean, one of the biggest exciting things was the branching storylines too. Like there's a point in the game where you can kill somebody or not, and depending on what you decide to do, it changes.
The decisions matter. Yeah, the decisions matter, but not in a permanent way.
They're going to do community stuff where they collect all the decisions and say like 50% of the people took this and 20% of the people did that.
Well, the beauty about this is that you could make a legacy game that's not permanent, so you can do stuff and make choices and have it saved on your save file. And then reset the game and play it with a whole new group and do a completely different thing with no permanent things. But in your save, there will be certain things you'll never be able to see or access. So it's got some potential, and there's a lot of things we could do with it. Just at this point, it's just all on the dev team to make it work right and make it work good.
I mean, it looked pretty solid. I mean, I know smoke and mirrors though sometimes, but I've been there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But, it looks pretty solid.
Yeah,
and the tech worked great. I mean, I didn't see any glitches. Except for that one weird dice roll.
I think they had one.
You can hit undo, and it just undoes it, and then you just roll again.
I think we had one critical error the entire weekend at all the demos they ran, which was nonstop all 4 days of the show. There was only one time that something happened where it actually killed the game. And for alpha testing and for running eight demos a day for 4 days plus pre-testing before and after the show, that's not bad at all. So we'll take that.
I'll take it.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Yep, super exciting stuff.
Yeah. When I get more info that I'm allowed to share, I'll share it. It's just right now, there's not a whole lot else I could tell you other than what is already known. But yeah, when we have more news, I'll be happy to shoot it out here.
Okay. Good night.
All righty. Good night.
Hi, Pete.
Night.
Another thing, Rado, is you could have teams like 2v2 in the game.
Yeah, so
Right?
no,
You could literally be in the other room, 2 rooms, people playing, and then you don't know what they're doing, but the game will react and tell you what they're doing. That was a cool idea, I thought.
So Scott, the most interesting thing that was briefly mentioned by you or Pete, I don't remember what, the notion that the application makes it so you don't have to worry about the minutiae. And you can say, oh, well, look, I killed a couple zombies, and I don't have to worry about the math or checking states or stats or any of that stuff. It just does all that for you.
Mm-hmm.
I totally get that. I see the appeal of that. I certainly saw it when I played the Lord of the Rings Fantasy Flight game, the most recent one, Journeys, Middle Earth. Do you suspect or worry that for, say, a Gloomhaven fan, so much of the Gloomhaven experience is diving deep into all those numbers and trying to, tweak out an extra 2 against an armor class check or THACO or whatever it might be? Threw that one in for you, Lance. Do you think there's any chance that something is lost when you have the system doing everything for you?
It wouldn't for me.
No,
I mean, that's my biggest complaint with Gloomhaven is the minutia of bookkeeping of all the monsters' hit points,
right?
Because they give you those dials, right, where you have to put all the health on the dials, and you're like, well, it's zombie 2 took 4 damage, and like, you know what I'm talking about, that where you,
I know,
you're constantly bookkeeping that bookkeeping I'm not a fan of at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, figuring out the best attacks, I'm fine. That's the business of Gloomhaven.
Having gone through that bookkeeping makes you more acutely aware of what the best strategic moves are. Is my point.
Essentially, I mean, I guess you would lose a little bit of like seeing your effects, right?
Yeah.
You would have to have, like, if it was me doing Gloomhaven, I would definitely have all that monster health and stuff on screen at all times, right? And it's like that. I wouldn't miss that in one bit. That's the biggest annoyance for me for Gloomhaven is like the status markers and we always forget to apply the status markers. I always forget to add the +1. Right, for poison or whatever, and that would be all gone.
Yeah, I think as long as there's a line you can push it to. You push it too far, now it's a video game, and there's no point of it being a tabletop game. So you've got to keep enough physical componentry to engage you in the actual physical play of the game. Rolling dice helps, figures on a map help, things like that. But if you push it and let the game do too much, then there's no reason to not just be playing a video game. But we have so many board games available. Guess what? There's space for people that want to mostly play video games, but are okay with taking it to a little bit of a video game or board game realm. And there's space for all of it. So
I don't begrudge anybody wanting to do it. I mean, the argument of why would anybody play this when you could just play a full video game? Why go half-ass? Well, because I like both halves would be the answer. I like sitting around a table and touching physical things, but I also like sound effects and ambience and not having to do the bookkeeping. There's nothing wrong with liking both things.
No.
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
But a lot of times an app version of a board game will come out and it'll kill that board game for me because now I can just play it so much faster and play so many times that I'll never touch the physical copy again, and then I get rid of it.
What game is an app killed for you?
Oh, so many.
I can do Waterdeep.
I could look at my phone here and just start rattling some off. Ascension. Oh my God, Ascension is a great app game, and you couldn't catch me shuffling cards as much as it takes.
But I can see why the Ascension app would kill playing Ascension, the physical game, in a solo experience. But
even with players, because you can play with other people on there, and you don't have to sit there and screw with the decks to shuffle them, which takes forever.
So
but I can play Carcassonne, and it's easy to score.
Smartphones, and we were hankering for some Ascension. You would rather both of us sit on the couch and play with our
No,
iPad?
I'd rather play with you all the way across the country, and then when we actually get together, we can play a better game together in person. Right?
Well, that's a fair point because Ascension's really not that great.
So. Well, I mean, it's fine, but as a casual game, I can hook up and play with somebody anytime, anywhere, or play solo, which is the big thing of why it's a killer for me, is I can play these solo. And then I can live with something that doesn't have an app when I'm in person. But like Raiders of the North Sea just came out, and the app is amazing. I don't want it to kill my Raiders of the North Sea. I love that game. So, but Mystic Vale, I think, is a better game as an app game than it is a physical game.
Yeah, because you don't have to.
You don't have to sit there. Well, I can't see that card's going to be a good one because it's a big fat stack of 3 cards when I'm evaluating if I want to flip the next card. So I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot the multiplayer leads to some interesting things too.
Yeah, but I think it's all good. I think there's plenty of room for it, and the more innovation there is, the better it is. Yeah. And it's not going to kill the hobby for anybody.
As well. It seemed like the price was going to be pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
sure.
Oh, I'm going to go before my battery dies. Last thing I had to say is I also played one of the new unlocks tonight because I like those. And the one I played tonight may be my favorite in the series.
Which one?
The video game one.
The video game one is probably the best one ever, yes.
Yes, it was fantastic.
It was, oh my gosh, so good.
It was
the new round, the newest release.
Yeah,
it's the newest set of 3, yeah.
Yeah, this one now they're doing just the sets.
It is also their most ambitious app integration yet.
Yes.
By far.
Yes, it does.
Even more than the
than any 4 other unlocks combined.
Correct. Make sure your phone's charged.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, my PC just went into battery saver mode. So
I feel bad because Barry just showed up, but I'm getting super, super tired. I'm on new medication that makes me exhausted.
Hi, Keith.
So, good night, Keith. So I'm gonna go back. So
this new deodorant I've got, it scares people away.
Yeah, I understand. Plus, it's your weird accent.
Cool, blimey, Gaff.
Yeah. No, but this is pretty cool. The new StreamYard.
And it's getting better.
We'll be able to
have our
Google Hangout
on our screen soon.
Is there any way to stream this to YouTube or put it?
It's being streamed to YouTube right now.
Oh, cool!
You can stream to YouTube, Twitch, Facebook all at the same time.
What?
Yep.
That's pretty nice.
What?
Well, do you think you will have the premium edition by this time next week, Lance?
Well, I got a sponsor who's got some pretty deep pockets. We'll see what he has to say.
Oh, how I dream about that. Hey, Kabuki, we'd love that as well, wouldn't we, Kabuk?
But anyway, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Oh, we're done.
Oh, dude, I'm exhausted. My doctor put me on some new meds, and I've been running on fumes here for the last.
Yeah, you haven't spoken for a half an hour.
I've been dozing off.
That's amazing.
Oh, shut up. As my mother says, 1,000 starving comedians, and you're making jokes.
So many things I wanted to talk to you about, Lance, as well.
What is that?
That's Saltmarsh.
Oh yeah, that's a great book.
Yeah. Oh well. Maybe another time.
I'm actually my son and my daughter and my wife wanted to play D&D, and I'm running them through that right now. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the Monday night is D&D night, and then Friday night I host the 12-year-old girls, and then every other Saturday I play in my normal one. So.
And at the moment, I'm working on the music and sound effects for the Sirenscape app, which accompany the story. So
there you go.
Another couple of months, and you'll be able to play with sound.
Well, we'll have defeated the whole thing by then. So thanks for nothing. I'd like to thank Mike Honcho for joining us this evening.
Anybody really showed
UBI Yang stuff? Very disappointed.
Mike Honcho.
It's from what is it? Anchorman? No, Talladega Nights.
Never seen it.
What? Oh,
is that a must-see movie?
You are not missing anything. That is a horrible movie.
Out of here. That movie is amazing. That is the best race car movie ever.
You obviously have never watched Six Pack with Kenny Rogers.
I've watched Six Pack.
Yes.
Yeah, Six Pack is great.
Actually, that's
and then too. What's her name in it? God, What was her name? I can't remember.
Six pack.
So
Diane
like,
Lane. I had a big crush on Diane Lane from Six Pack.
No, so Kenny Rogers plays the down on his luck stock car race car driver, and
Brewster Baker,
and I remember I went to that movie with my stepfather, and I remember there was a kid in front of me who must have seen the movie like so many times that he knew the lines, and he was actually like saying what was going to happen before it happened. Like he'd seen the movie so many times, like he'd seen the movie Six Pack that much. All the dumb things you remember.
It was the 80s.
Whoa.
It was the 80s.
Remember when one movie a year would come out, like one or two good movies a year? Remember that?
Well, I don't think Six Pack was one of the.
You'll be saying that about board games eventually, Scott. You'll be going, "Oh, do you remember 2000?"
Oh God, I do.
Only like
there were only like 10 games a year that mattered. Yeah. Now there's like 1,000 games a year that matter.
Mm.
The Mothership RPG, if we're gonna some people are blogging, but Mothership RPG from Tuesday Night Games, that is super good. So,
what is it?
It's just grim death in outer space.
Cool.
Yeah. So,
Lance, reach out to Alan. I talked to him at Origins about going on the Boom, and he said absolutely, just reach out to him. So add him to the Facebook group because
Alan Iverson? Alan who?
AI, yeah, we're talking about practice. No, Alan from Tuesday Night Games.
Oh,
Christ, I thought you worked in the industry, Lance.
Well, you just say Alan. I mean,
Alan was talking about Tuesday Night Games, so I connected it.
Al Newman, former second baseman for the Minnesota Twins.
Al Newman, the designer of Rummikub.
Oh,
there you
go. But reach out to him.
All right. I'm done. I'm ending the broadcast. Thank you so much. Scott, hang out just for a second. I got to talk to you for real briefly before you go to bed.
I got some
whatever it is. But thanks for everybody for watching. And this is how we're going to do it from now on, I guess. So and this works.
6 is annoying, but
6, well, it's not optimal, but they'll increase it, right?
They will.
They're going to decrease it.
I thought you said the Elite was already increased to 10.
No.
I don't know. Now people are saying it isn't. So I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. If it was, then you're a jerk.
I bet if you called them and told them I need 6.
We're one of 7 people that is using your service, and we would need you to increase this.
I bet more people are using it now because
they are. The numbers have gone up
Hangout.
I've been following their live streams, so I'm getting all the updates of what they're going to be adding, what they're going to tweak. Really interesting. They're a really nice couple of young Canadian guys who seem really sweet.
Canadian? Oh, we're gonna find something else then.
What? Google makes this. Have you ever seen the Google Tombstone website? Of all the all right, yeah, you want to go?
All right. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.
Bye.